I spit these rhyme enchantments. I'm advancing crimes, enhancing every time I'm near combatants and assassin with my napkin, wiping prints off the Mac 10. Clicking, clacking, I'm dashing tats of dragons on my black skin. Niggas that when I pass them, cause they know who the master is. Pass the slip a savage. If they don't, then I just snatch the shit. Niggas that when I pass them, cause they know who the master is. Pass the slip a savage. If they don't, then I just snatch the shit. Back then I was whacking out bad bitches like what's happening, and I'm cackling at women. I'm too wicked with the macking and terrific with the spitting. Have them dripping when I'm rapping. I'm too hot to handle when I jot as I'm relaxing in the dark. Killer snapping, wigs is cracking like they chapping, and the clicking got me acting like a picture passing cabins in the dark. Killer snapping, wigs is cracking like they chapping, and the clicking got me acting like a picture passing cabins. Trying to match it, but it's tragic. Got me laughing in a hoodie and a mask. Like crooking wasn't fashion. My bullets like to blast a night. Put one in his ass, have him hoofing for the flashlight. Yeah, stab his back with a jackknife, slash lights. Take his cash out his pants, cause my lack had the gas light. Yeah, grab his cap, then I bash once, bash twice. Take a snap for the gram of him dead for a damn light. Back then I was whacking out bad bitches like what's happening, and I'm cackling at women. I'm too wicked with the macking and terrific with the spitting. Have them dripping when I'm rapping. I'm too hot to handle when I jot as I'm relaxing in the dark. Killer snapping, wigs is cracking like they chapping, and the clicking got me acting like a picture passing cabins in the dark. Killer snapping, wigs is cracking like they chapping, and the clicking got me acting like a picture passing cabins. Yeah.
I believe religious liberty is our first freedom, and it is vital to millions of Americans who cherish faith, as I and my family do. But it's also vital to the framework of freedom in our nation.
He was unapologetic about it. I think ultimately he walked away with that understanding that the courts had a balance out there that they had to deal with, but at the same time, he just believes what he believes, and he got elected to not shy away from those beliefs, but to help implement those beliefs.
He learned that there's going to be some elements of our political environment that are never satisfied, and it's important to stick to your principles.
Pence later signed a revision to that law that prevented service from being denied on the basis of sexual orientation, race, religion, or disability.
He would look back and say, he prioritized individual, personal, religious liberties, that the First Amendment was core to his belief that if they had religious obligations, they could make decisions based on their own religion.
Around that same time, Donald Trump emerged as the Republican nominee for president and needed a more conservative vice president.
Donald Trump has selected Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his running mate, officially.
When Mike Pence agrees to join the ticket, I helped to solidify a lot of people who had anxiety about Donald Trump's candidacy inside the Republican Party. There is a comfort level of what a known entity Mike Pence is and what he represented for the party.
My initial reaction was that Donald Trump and Mike Pence might be a little bit like oil and water. Mike Pence had fully thrown his support behind Ted Cruz for the nomination, and now he was going to become Donald Trump's running mate.
They came from different stratospheres in financial well-being. They came from very different perspectives on social issues. They came from very different perspectives in many ways, but I think it created a friendship and a trust between the two.
Karen and I both felt a great ease with their family, which surprises a lot of people. Some people think we're a little bit different. But honestly, we had an almost immediate rapport, and I had a sense that we could help.
Breaking late this evening, a blast from the past that seems to be exploding in the face of the Republican presidential nominee, Donald Trump.
He was caught on a hot mic while speaking with then host of Access Hollywood, Billy Bush, now right before he was about to make a cameo on a soap opera.
October 7th, 2016, a bomb went off in the Trump campaign. That's when the existence of that Access Hollywood tape was revealed. We all thought in the media that Trump was going to bow out of the race. And who would be left?
I think that most of America was, a little startled by the Access Hollywood tapes. I think that equally so for the Pence family. The Pences were committed to the ticket and believing that it was important for us to restore so many of the principles of Republicans and conservatives that they were committed to seeing this through. But at the same time, I think there was a lot of people on the campaign who asked Mike Pence to get out front and to sort of give a testimony about Donald Trump's character. But there was an interest in having Donald Trump own responsibility for those actions and apologize to the American people first. And I think that that's what's transpired that I think then enabled the campaign to move forward.
There were some reports that Pence had tried to take over, which Pence later denied, but ultimately Donald Trump decided that he was going to stick with it. Pence remained his running mate, and the rest is history.
The Fox News decision desk has called Pennsylvania
Now, these inhalers seem like animal creatures, okay? It may have been an illusion, okay? Because they are illusions in hell. The devil brings illusion, false paradise and everything. But I've seen these with corpses on the backs of them also. And burning and screaming, and the horses is on fire.
right. What the fuck is up? Welcome back to the News Underground. I am Abandoned Nihilism, and this is the Diarrhea Debate. Hey, we got my... I love diarrhea. I love diarrhea. You know? Who doesn't love a good, satisfying shit? Huh? I love diarrhea. Come on, folks. That's what we're here for, right? It's funny, Trump over here talking about how the last debate that we watched that I like started skipping through. He was like, that debate had the worst ratings of any debate in U.S. history. I don't know if he's telling the truth or not. Probably not. But I do find that really funny. It was a nothing debate, and just like Zeoduke says, you know what? Who is in the running? If Trump is, you know, completely 100% is not going to be running, and even then, when it is like 100% certain, there is still going to be, I'm voting Trump anyway. I'm voting Trump anyway. Hey, life is good, you know. Look, man, we won't get into it, but life is tough. Life is tough. But yeah, we're gonna. I wouldn't. I promised the debate first of all, so I already promised that I was going to be streaming this. But you think I want to miss this? You think I wouldn't be watching this in my own private time? I love diarrhea. You kidding me? This is great. They're over here horking Mike Pence's fucking doink like that's gonna get us fucking anywhere. Mike Pence, they're over here just, oh, he's the best, he's the greatest. Mike fucking Pence loves God. I mean, it's so funny. They created this monster in the Obama era. Welcome back, Lenny, #1 financial contributor to the stream. It's your boy Lenny. Go Sox. Kind of look like the epitome of the hipster stereotype. Wow, fuck you. Fuck you, okay? This is how I look, dude. You think this is curated in any way? I don't even comb my hair. I don't even comb my hair. Oh, sorry, Jidox. I thought that was an insult. I don't know. That's just like, geez, way to attack me personally. Hipster stereotypes. Hipsters tend to feel more in touch than most. Yeah, unless they're walking around San Francisco looking like a motherfucking lumberjack, ready to chop down a couple trees, heading on over to the barbershop to get, you know, before you head on over to the barbershop quartet with your motherfucking curly ass mustache. I don't know what these motherfuckers running around San Francisco were thinking. Walking around like motherfucking fancy pants ass lumberjacks. What? Wearing the flannel and shit. Matt Walsh is a right-wing hipster. I don't know if I'd put hip and Matt Walsh in the same universe together. No, I'm just making fun of them. They're all nice guys, just like Jidox said. I'm the asshole here. No. I'm jealous because they're prettier. I'm jealous because they're cute. So what the fuck is up, folks? This is the pre-show. This is the pre-game. Usually it's like we got to get to it, but I have 20 minutes to fill here. We're not watching a motherfucking documentary on Mike Pence and how great Mike Pence is, so we're not doing that. I would literally watch a colonoscopy fucking surgery than this. Oh, quiet, Chem Goblin. Welcome back, by the way. Welcome back, everybody. Jidox, Chem Goblin. Lenny, welcome back. Zeo Duke, thank you for coming back. #1 in the chat. Snowmo Bro Pro hitting me up for a motherfucking loan. Homie, what? You think I got money? I just spent $1 million on a house. Okay? And I didn't have $1 million when I started. So that means I have $1 million mortgage. Technically, it's not $1 million, but might as fucking well be. Quick news. Well, there actually is a lot of news. But yeah, good idea, Chem Goblin. We could definitely do a couple things. There's actually a lot of news happening right now. A brand new Salad Fingers, by the way. Check it out, bro. New episode of Salad Fingers. Love it. Make sure you check that shit out. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. I haven't even know what's going on here. Let's have the debate in the chat. Let's do the debate in the chat, guys. Is he alive or is he dead? Is the commander of the Black Sea Fleet that was supposedly eliminated by Ukraine with a masterful hit on the headquarters? I mean, masterful, dude. Holy shit, like a fucking war symphony, dude. Bing! Right at the spot. Right at the spot. But here's Russia trying to muddy the waters, trying to confuse us all. We get my boy Sard out the way. Yo. That is 2 Beat Pray to the Beast, produced by Killian. It's another Memphis 666 exclusive. Make sure you check it out, Memphis 666. Like and subscribe, folks. So no, is this motherfucker dead or not? He doesn't move. I haven't seen footage of him moving in the little video. You know what I mean? Like, he's not moving.
Ukraine's army attacking in the east around Bakhmut. For the Ukrainians, this is an extremely important, but also very complicated and potentially very dangerous mission, and we're going to be located very close to where the Russians are.
Bro, if this is a literally like Weekend at Bernie's and they just had his top half, they just had the top torso. This the other one, the other half was obliterated. They just put some makeup on. They could, of course, do this with AI as well. And you know, you would sometimes, if you just look at the AI as a still image, it can look really, really good. It's only when the AI starts to move around and it looks, you know, it looks uncanny. So maybe they generated it with AI and they were like, well, we can't have him move, so just flash him on screen for 3 seconds and then just get on, and then everyone's just going to pretend like the meeting, you know, because that was the other funny thing, is that he was up there. And you would think he'd be like, okay, is he going to say something? And he just doesn't move, doesn't say anything, and then disappears. Very sus.
We're with a frontline drone unit called Code 9.2. Their drone, the Ukrainian-made Vampire. The crew attaching the bombs
appear, the glasses,
as artillery whistles over our heads.
Yeah, this is actually really cool. This is like another CNN exclusive. And they're getting really, I got to say, CNN, props to this guy at CNN, getting right up to the front lines, because they basically have artillery whizzing over their head. They're basically right there on the front line. I mean, just, you know, if they're not on the front line, they're damn close.
It's fully night vision capable and plays a soundtrack showing it means business.
This is funny.
The team
watch Disney sue Ukraine. How dare you use Disney IP?
Leader's call sign is Groove, and he confirms because Ukraine doesn't have a modern air force tonight, they are the air force.
That's wild.
The drones.
By the way, how old is this guy, by the way? What, 22, 23? And he's over here blowing up tanks with robots.
See in the night like in daylight, he says. We see the infantry, we hit the vehicles, cannons, everything we need to destroy. Groove also says Russians from the Wagner private military company have returned to the battlefield around Bakhmut. Yes, there is Wagner here too. They swiftly changed their commanders and have returned here, he says. We're breaking through their line of defense and hitting them well.
So I'm hearing reports as well that Wagner has officially returned in Africa as well. And of course, there's that plane crash that I should probably be showing. The Wagner plane crash, but this is really good footage right here. I should show the rest of this, but I wanted to show that part, the part where they're talking about the guy who may or may not be dead, because this is a good segment. But yeah, let's get into it here. Ugh, with Erin Burnett, she looks different every time. Every time she's on screen, she has like a different configuration of her face. It's weird.
By using the different types of drones, whether it's for reconnaissance or to drop weapons, it's impressive the way they have adapted.
So, Steve, now I want to show that video again. The commander of the Black Sea Fleet, Admiral Viktor Sokolov, participating, they say, in a defense minister, meeting with the defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, today. I mean, you know, put out as it's a day after Ukraine says Sokolov was killed in the strike.
He's not moving, dude.
Now,
it's just a picture.
It's still, checking, but you know when you see.
I mean, that's the thing. Is it impossible to get a video from a previous meeting? You know what I mean? I mean,
you know that opens a door. But you see the video.
He wasn't even moving.
Leaning back on a pillow. He appears for a couple seconds. Doesn't say anything. What do you trust this? What do you think this is?
Yeah, you know, Aaron, whenever the Russians come out with something like this, you can never trust it. And it's largely just because of their track record. They're so good, especially on the video side of things in terms of doing these deep fakes, you know, and all sorts of other techniques that they've really developed over years of doing cyber attacks. So, you know, you start from the perspective of, okay, if the Kremlin says something.
They're okay. They're not really as good as people give them credit for, I got to say.
That's good reason right there to doubt it. But then when they start,
but they're ballsy. They'll do it. You remember it goes way back. It goes all the way back to Stalin, at least, with him literally, you know, hiring people to write over, you know, like old school technique, and artists coming in and going over the picture to erase that guy that was next to the some river or something. Right? They're standing there. That famous photo of him being erased out of history.
Start saying things like, no, this very important general was not killed. And then they've got him, I don't know, he looks a little propped up on pillows to me, but you know, that's just me. The real important thing here is that they managed a pretty successful attack, apparently, you know, the headquarters of the Russian Navy.
Is that a corpse? Did they really Weekend at Bernie's this shit? He was dead, stiff as a board, but they put some makeup on him, you know, cleaned his face up, propped him up with some pillows.
Black Sea. So regardless of who was killed, and the reporting is roughly 30 officers, that's a significant event in and of itself.
Right. I mean, they did say.
So what do you guys think? Do you think what do you think? Let me know in the chat.
I mean, there is something quite bizarre about the whole thing. General Hodges, does it matter whether Ukraine actually got Sokolov in the strike?
Getting Sokolov does not matter. But exactly what Steve just said, getting the 30 or so officers around him, that will have a much more significant and long-term effect on the ability of the Black Sea Fleet headquarters to operate. And, you know, in Iraq, we killed the Emir of Mosul, I think, probably
the
6
sequel,
or 7
not
times.
so much. The first
they
one's
keep
a lot of
replacing
fun.
But if you can get all the people around him, that really has an effect. And it also shows the sophistication of how the Ukrainians knew to hit that building. There's so much going on here, part of this multi-dimensional approach by the Ukrainians.
All right. I'm going to go Weekend at Bernie's, man. I mean, it's a still image, though. So maybe not Weekend at Bernie's, actually. God, what do I think? Oh, this is a tough one. I think it's a still image. They didn't put makeup on the corpse and prop up the corpse, and then what? Just put a camera on him? No. That's crazy. That's actually totally fucking nuts. No way they did that. No. All right, we got 10 minutes left. Let's jump back into these fucking assholes. Ugh. Oh, good. They're saying nothing. You know what? Let's go ahead while we're doing that. Let's see if anyone else is covering this. See if like TYT or something is covering this. So Brian, oh yeah, this guy. Okay. Oh, his timer is way off, dude. His timer says he's got 40 minutes. Huh? That's weird. There's also a video of him giving awards or something. There's no way to confirm when it was filmed. Yeah. Woo. Man, I gotta tell you, man, one of the most exciting movements in music is this underground. I don't even know what to call it. It's not trap anymore. But this underground shit, dude, is so fucking good. I can't even believe it, man. It's like funk taken to the next level. I can't believe they're still using the same samples and the cowbells and everything. It's so amazing.
The trial regarding inciting an insurrection. So he has that plausible deniability, and it would just be a fight that he would wage in the courts.
All right, so we'll keep him open. Get his opinion once in a while. Anybody else covering this? Let's see if the Young Turks is doing a live stream. Here we go.
I told you guys. I told you we'd be back.
Cool. Is this live? This isn't even live, yo. All right.
Not only can you lose on that charge, but it can kind of dilute.
Nobody's covering this. Dude, nobody is covering this. Nobody gives a shit, dude. No, it is. Do you think this debate will have any substance? I mean, the last one was a complete sham. It was an absolute farce. The only real thing for me that I can see coming out of this debate is we might see Ron DeSantis Hail Mary this shit. He's incredibly desperate. His donors are telling him, if you beef this shit, it's over, dude. Your money's gone. You know, the money train is over, Ron. So we're going to see Ron DeSantis throw a Hail Mary. And I think, besides Mike Pence and Chris Christie, it's going to be an opportunity to showboat for Donald Trump. I guess also Nikki Haley as well. I think she's going to be, is she back? I think she's back as well. So for Vivek, but then there's these two, I'm making a challenge. No old people jokes. Whole stream. It's happening. It's not. I'm not going to make fun of their goddamn age. So sick and tired of the ageism on this show. Putting it out right now. But no, I mean these other two guys. They're not. They're like relics from the old school GOP era. Shut up, Kim Goblin. You over here running around the internet like a Zoomer. Your very existence is an affront to the boomers. So I guess, okay, for Vivek, and I guess even Ron DeSantis, because that's been the reason why he's had such a good. That's been the reason why he's been such a failure, is that Ron DeSantis never truly picked a lane. He's, kind of soft criticizing Trump while also trying to praise Trump and get his voters. Woke Patriot, welcome back. So, I'm curious. Well, are we going to? So in the last debate, he made a conscious effort. Ron DeSantis made a conscious effort to not say woke, to not say the woke mob. He didn't say woke once. Didn't say Hunter Biden once. completely shit the bed. Vivek ran all over him with his proud fascism. I can't wait to be a corporate tyrant. Yay, it's going to be great. I'm going to fire everybody. That's because that's what the government needs. Yeah. So I'm curious. We might see Ron DeSantis, double down on Trump or double down on the Trump criticism, seeing the tea leaves, reading the tea leaves for Trump in the future, basically making a bet that he's gonna be convicted. That this is not the January 6th, commission, some fake ass info seeking operation that doesn't do anything. Oh, we gave all our information to the Fed, and are they using is the January 6th commission? Was that any of that information actually being used in court cases? It probably is, actually. So I should take that back. But you know what I mean? It was toothless. It was toothless, right? No one was going to go to jail at the end of that. All those interviews, all that information. We covered every one of them. If you don't recall, we covered every one of those fucking hearings. But there was no arrests, right? I guess. Well, actually, I think Steve Bannon or so. There actually was a few arrests. Now that I think about it, who's that motherfucker that? There's one motherfucker that went to jail just recently. He was just convicted. Peter Navarro. He was convicted for not showing up to the January 6th hearings. I think Steve Bannon as well got some heat for it. But, they weren't being convicted of the crimes that they committed. They were just being convicted, of a kind of a misdemeanor kind of thing. I thought cutting government power and size was like the opposite of what fascism wants. Well, it's because Vivek it wants to fire those people and then install a bunch of partisans. And he wants to set up a hierarchy that is just, rule by fiat. Just like have just a small group, just making rules and laws without consulting, a larger balance of things. So it's interesting. He wants to. It's so crazy. They flipped all the languages flipped because they talk about freedom. They talk about emancipating the people from the neoliberals who want to control them and control their lives, and then the actions that they take are so tyrannical, and like the things that they say in terms of like, oh yeah, when we get in charge we're gonna do this and this, it no longer matters that it's hypocritical. Oh, where's my Sart? That's right, where's my Sart at? There he is. I get my doggy twerk going as well. There we go. All right, folks. We got one more minute here. Let's. They're not really saying anything here, so sorry. Guess we're just waiting. I'm too impatient. I'm chomping at the bit here. I don't. This is actually really interesting because I don't know how to feel because it all depends on Trump. It all depends on what happens with Trump. Like, so you got to show up, but how do you position yourself? Positioning yourself is a gamble, right? Positioning yourself against Trump is a gamble on the future of what happens to Trump if he's convicted. Or if he's not convicted, then you've lost that gamble. The left, who wants to implement socialism, the last thing that people want is control any part of your life. The left, what is the left in your definition? Because the neoliberal Democrats do not want to implement socialism. They brag about how much they hate socialism. They brag about how much they love Ronald Reagan. The current crop of neoliberal Democrats. So AOC, yeah, she claims to be a democratic socialist, but she's capitulating up and down. So, and I gotta say though, she's coming out for the unions, which is nice. She also came out for immigration, which is interesting. Send me a video where a Democrat praises Ronald Reagan in the last 4 years. Type in Nancy Pelosi, Ronald Reagan.
All right, we are back live from the Ronald Reagan Library in Simi Valley, California. We welcome our viewers on Fox Business and Fox News to our coverage of tonight's second Republican presidential debate. I'm Larry Kudlow. We're just 30 minutes away.
It had to be Kudlow.
7 candidates
It
about
had to be
take the
Kudlow.
stage, where they will get a second chance to tell voters why they deserve to be commander-in-chief, among other things. Coming up as we count down to the debate, we're going to talk to Brett Baer,
Oh, my
Kellyanne
God.
Conway, Karl Rove, Harold Ford Jr., Martha McCallum, Laura Ingraham, Brett Hume,
Ugh,
and Bill
they're all
Malugin. And I'm
horrible.
going to do all that in 7.5 minutes. Let's go straight to Fox News.
They're
Bill
all
Malugin
horrible.
for all the latest. Go ahead, Bill. Take
Karl
as much time
Rove.
as you want.
I'll make it quick, Larry. The candidate walkthroughs are officially over. We've seen them strolling around the property today. They've all been getting ready for this debate now in their own unique ways. Nikki Haley's campaign telling me she's been listening to music.
Well, then, Jumbo Jack, I guess you win. Can you leave now that you've won the debate? Can you go? You're very annoying. Can you go now? Gosh, you kicked my butt. Yay, everybody. Give him a big round of applause. Yeah, no, you totally destroyed my point. The neoliberal Democrats don't praise Reagan. There's no proof of that, especially in the last 4 years, right? Okay, nailed me. Right. Can you please? We're having a fucking debate here. Come on, man.
And they expect she is going to have a target on her back tonight after that last performance she had in Milwaukee. She's been surging in the polls. Vivek Ramaswamy's team telling me he worked out earlier today. He's been playing with his kids. They expect him to get into a couple scraps tonight. They say don't be surprised if that happens. Governor Ron DeSantis' team telling me expect him to lean in on his conservative record tonight and hone in on a theme of reversing the decline of America. The bottom line here, somebody has to do something to shake this race up. Donald Trump is blowing everybody out of the water in the polling right now. Somebody's got to step up to the plate and start chipping away at that lead he's got. If they don't, Trump is going to run away with this thing. So is somebody going to have a moment tonight? We're going to have to wait to find out, Larry. We'll send it back to you.
All right. Bill Malugin, thank you very much. We have Sean Hannity still ahead on this hour.
Oh, God.
No, he's right there. Look at him in all his glory. Sean, you're running the spin room. I hear you've got some terrific guests coming up. Tell us about it.
We do. Well, it'll be post-debate. Right after the debate is finished, we'll have all the candidates. To my right, the governor of California has been holding court with the press here locally.
What happens, Davey? That whole calculus is thrown out the window if Trump is legitimately arrested. You know.
Coming up pretty soon. Look,
I mean, once he's legitimately arrested, right? They can. The hardcore guys will pretend they'll be like, "I'm going to write him in," but the Republican Party. The Republican Party is not, there's no way, dude. A guy sitting in jail, even the current Republican Party, are they really going to pick him? With a guy sitting in jail, dude.
A lot of effort tonight for all of these candidates on that stage. They are going to want to distinguish themselves and separate from that pack if they can.
Thank you, Sean. We appreciate it very much. We look forward to all of it.
You know, the other trend, of course, that we saw while watching the last one was zero mention of the T word. No Trump. No, don't say the T word. So there's like, it's in the Fox reality, right? This thing named Trump is just, you know, they did mention him a few times. There was a few questions about poll numbers and things like that, I think, during the debate. But the coverage forgets Trump completely. You know, let's see how many times they mention Trump.
Is absolutely correct. All the candidates need a big moment, but it's because these people here who support the Republican Party, they're looking for a big moment too. They're looking for change, and they want to see if any of these people on stage tonight can be the rival to Donald Trump going into the rest of the
and they're trying to drive this narrative that, oh, people don't like Trump. People don't want the Trump alternative. They don't want the Trump. No, that's what they want. That's what the base wants.
Very informative, I hope, but we're going to cover a lot of subjects, not just the economy. Crime, the cities, foreign policy, the border, you name it, it will be covered, and it's going to be a contest between them who can break out.
There's great energy in the room tonight, and we're excited to get it started, Larry.
Yes.
You know, Dana, I was going to ask you about that. This is the Reagan Library. Reagan is such a commanding figure.
He got me. Guys, he got me. Jumbo Jack nailed me, guys. So everyone make sure, give him a round of applause, okay? This is the Jumbo Jack show, everybody. All right, give him he nailed me to the wall. Actually, guys, So, I mean, everyone, I mean, really, just praise him up and down. He did it, dude. Strutting around like he's a motherfucking know-it-all. Got it. He's got it down pat, and he nailed me to the wall. I have nothing else to say about it.
Commanding historical figure. Does that make this different than other debates? Does that make this different, for example, than the Milwaukee
No,
debate?
you know, Davey, that's a good point. That's such a good point that you would take Trump over Ramaswamy, because I think I agree with you. Well, I don't know. I mean, they're both. Yeah, I mean, the one thing though, I mean, woke patriot, the one thing that we have with Trump over Ramaswamy is his incompetence. Whereas Ramaswamy absolutely has the competence to enact a dictatorship that would be somewhat effective at destroying democracy, where like I could see Trump spending a lot of time, like, you know what I mean? Like, because his businesses in New York are currently being dissolved. So I could see him spending a lot of his time trying to reverse that, you know, trying to get his casinos back and screwing the pooch. Well, we're going to see. He's going to make a big show of it. I guess you always vote for Cornel West. Yeah, I guess we could. Oh, God, I'm so triggered. I'm so burned by Jumbo Jack there. He destroyed me, guys.
Secondly, I want to hear all those issues tonight and more. And I keep hearing everybody needs a moment. I politely disagree with that analysis. You can't have a moment to undo the former president frontrunner's lead of 50-some points. You can't just have a moment to undo 4 years.
Can't say the T word. Can't say the T word.
To try to chip away at that. And really show tonight how you're the best alternative to Trump. And then you're the best alternative to Joe Biden. So people really need to split screen and take all this on. I wouldn't go for the humor. I wouldn't go for the headline. I wouldn't go for the insults. I would respect the voter and the viewers enough to have a substantive conversation. Larry, they're here to debate. They're not here to deflect or defer or even denigrate. They're here to debate.
All right. Karl Rove, just to ask you, you've been in the game a very long time.
I mean, these people are absolute ghouls, con men and women.
Pays off more tonight as somebody in this group tries to break away. What's the best path, Karl Rove?
Well, both of them are. You have to do both. You can't do one thing in a debate and hope to succeed. I want to echo what Kellyanne said. This is a process, not an event. It's an event tonight, but that event is part of a process by which these people get themselves better known in front of the American people, and particularly Republican primary voters, give a bigger sense of who.
Remember the massive embarrassment the Bush administration was? I was the face of that for 8 years.
For each one of them was when they announced, because it got national attention. But the biggest viewership of what they did was at the last debate, and this is likely to be the second biggest time
homeless
that they
bag.
have
See
in
what I
front of
mean?
the American people.
This is why I don't waste my time with those people. It's because it's not about a debate of facts. It's not about a debate about reality. It's about winning. It's about triggering the libs or whatever, right? It's about actually gotcha. It's not about trying to find the truth and what actually works for people and all that. It's I have a side and I'm going to use tactics to defend my side, rhetorical tactics, right? And this is why I have Sart up here. This is why he's here, because it's all about what Sart said, right? They don't need to speak from a place of reality. They could be absolutely absurd. It's a game to them. And it's not about, like I said, it's not about finding the truth. It's about winning some rhetorical war for their side. There's no analysis of the effectiveness of what they're saying or what they're asking for, because what they want, the right wing, and I don't know if Jumbo Jack would say, I'm not a right winger. I'm not a right winger. I only gaslight and rhetorically defend them, but I'm not a right winger. And the other fella there, Jiddox, using fucking Rush Limbaugh talking points, tax and spend liberal. Are you kidding me? Are Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah, well, at least I'm not a tax and spend liberal. All I want is a fascist dictatorship. All I want to do is destroy democracy. Yeah, at least I'm not a limousine liberal. I told him to punch Nazis and he got offended, huh? Look, I don't advocate for violence against Nazis, but I think I would advocate for, if you're walking around with a swastika, there should be a law. They just went after these folks in Germany, who were these crypto fascists, using religion as a guise, while they were literally, training, they were like grooming children with Nazi propaganda. Apparently they're like 35,000 strong. So I'm just saying, man, look, I would be okay with the government defining what fascism is, defining what that means, right? And then because fascism, look, it's like when you're talking about communism, because they always mix them up, right? Communism, anarchism, fascism. No. When you're talking about communism, you're talking about a system of government, or really an economic system, I think. Or is it the other way around? It's not an economic system, but it's a system for governance, one of those. But you're talking about something legit. But when you're talking about fascism or fascist ideology or fascist policies, you're talking about direct violence against people. You might as well be saying, I want to hurt people. So I do get the slippery slope argument, and I do agree with it because I'm free speech 100% kind of guy. I'm not a free speech absolutist, but if free speech can be respected, and it's not a direct danger to society, then it should be respected in all cases. So look, it is a slippery slope, but goddamn, I mean, they're running around making fun of us, man. These motherfucking Nick Fuenteses. They're all shitting in our cornflakes thinking it's the funniest fucking thing in the world. And there's like no repercussions to being an outward fascist who hates democracy. And, but at the same time, look, people should have the right to vote to change their government. That's the definition of liberty. So it is a slippery slope. But man, I just hate how cocky the right wing has become with their support of tyrants and dictators. Oh, that's the solution. We just need a tyrant. You get Vivek Ramaswamy up here saying, yep, that's the solution. I can't wait. I'm going to implement full-blown fucking tyranny. And everyone's just cool with it on the right. And I'm exaggerating a little bit because, of course, there's factions on the right. But you know what I'm saying? It's like this man should be booed off the stage. I want to wipe out all government, install a bunch of fucking, czars in charge of everything. I want to, I'm without even bringing up the acquiescence to the assaults on democracy that we see in these right-wing states. And it's all good. It's all good because it's my side. Sean Hannity paid millions of dollars to defend this. Sean Hannity paid millions of dollars to defend the installation of a dictatorship, man. And it's all normalized.
I think when you couple it with Senator
it's all
Menendez,
normalized. It's
insane. Can be made very quickly, and it might be why we have 19 Democratic senators want Menendez out, because now it's a culture of corruption.
Really?
Even though it is not being covered by the mainstream media.
Oh my God, dude, I'm gonna have an aneurysm. So he's talking about Menendez, the Democrat, and he's talking about all these left-wingers coming out calling for his resignation. Meanwhile, of course, the hypocrisy staring right in their face. Their entire party wants to make a motherfucking 4-time indicted, 91 conviction or 91 potential charges, wants to make him the goddamn president. It's a culture of corruption, guys. Yeah, I mean, because of course it is. But I mean, come on, the hypocrisy, dog. I mean, honestly, you have to be intentionally delusional to say that at this point, because like, especially the people that support Trump are like, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, culture of corruption. Yep. That's why I want a four-time indicted, fucking convicted sexual assaulter, not a rapist, sexual assaulter, convicted sexual assaulter. Yeah, that's my guy. I want him to drain the swamp and clear the culture of corruption from the left. The convicted sexual assault guy who does wear diapers, you motherfuckers. Damn it, I made an old person joke. Damn it! I was on a good roll there. I'm sorry. Damn it.
Be a factor in this campaign.
It's
he
a
just
fact,
killed
though.
it in that second debate after people had questions about his age.
Sean, we're going to see you right after the debate. Thanks ever so much.
All
right, joining us
Thanks
now,
for the warning.
You're her show. Absolutely. Martha McCallum, anchor of The Story. Britt Hume, Fox News senior political analyst. Britt Hume, good evening.
Well, they got everybody. They're just bringing everybody on the fucking show here.
Do the candidates punch away at each other, Britt? Do they talk about some of the serious issues?
Give me some substance, Britt. You tweet wearing son of a bitch. Give me some substance.
Well, it could happen if one of them takes on one of the others, or more than one of the others, in a way that requires a response. The hazard you run when you do that, when you attack another candidate, is that candidate gets a moment to respond, and the candidates who are attacked the most get to say the most. So it's not all upside. And the other thing is that you can take on a candidate and do the candidate harm. We've seen it happen before. But the person doing the attacking isn't often the beneficiary. So attack politics has its hazards, I would say. And we keep hearing about the need to have moments. The moments that have been cited here, such as the two that Sean just mentioned, were in one-on-one candidate debates in the general election. It's hard to remember any number of moments that occurred early in the primary season when there's a huge field of candidates on the stage. It's hard to get a moment going in a situation like that. It just is.
Martha.
What? I just blacked out for a second. What did he say?
Britt just said, and do you punch away or do you go issues? 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, I think they have to keep in mind that their main audience is on the other side of the camera out there in the country. And I think a candidate who can connect with people and say to them, as I said before, you have a choice in this election. This is not done. That is something that could punch through to people. A human
gotta
moment
run,
is what
gotta
I'm
run. Thank you. Gotta go.
All right. Thanks ever so much, Martha McCallum and Britt Hume.
This is funny. This is really funny. I mean, they're going too hard in the reality weaving. They're going too hard trying to push this you guys have a choice and it's not a done deal and we don't have to go with Trump, guys. We could be just as competitive against Biden. Meanwhile, the polls show Biden and Trump neck and neck. And Biden and all the other candidates, Biden's blowing them out of the water. Right? That's the only thing and that's the one, they're not going to be bringing that poll up. They're not bringing that poll up. The last couple polls, there was a CNN poll, and then there was MSN. It was at least it was on MSNBC. It was ProPublica, I believe. It was ProPublica. Biden isn't losing to Trump. I mean, look, the polls are really early right now, and they're skewed to the right because it's mainstream media. You would be shocked at the amount of fucking brain dead conservatives who watch CNN still while they're raging in the comments, fucking blowing their top in the comments section. Go to a CNN YouTube video and come back and because they usually just disable the comments now. So you got to go to Twitter, actually. I'm sorry, X. Go to X. So head on over to X and go to any CNN Twitter. Look, I'll show you. Look, I got time, dude. This is hilarious. Watch this. CNN Twitter. Am I supposed to really type in CNN X? You know what I mean? Like, that does not work. But watch this. Watch. Any post. Here we go. John Fetterman. This is going to be great. Watch this, dude. Here we go. Watch this. John Fetterman. Watch the conservatives, right? Okay, so the story is U.S. Senate has passed a resolution formalizing business attire as the proper dress code for the floor of the chamber by unanimous consent. Boo, these pussies. Boo. Big priority
right? Big priority for these dickheads. Oh, you got to wear a suit. You got to wear a suit. Yeah, because your constituents are out there wearing suits, huh? The people voting for you. Oh, yeah, the kitchen table people I just want to have a beer with. I don't feel comfortable having dinner with somebody that's not wearing a suit. Because I'm a real American. So here we go. We got, look at the blue checks. Sad this had to be done, but the right move in light of the times. And what times are those, sir? Your fascist takeover? Western toxicologist, huh? Arsenal with the memes here. Fantastic news, says this guy. Who's bragging about being a Doge holder. Oh, honey. Oh, these blue checks. Good. Okay. This is CNN, right? Do you subscribe to Fox News? My fellow left-leaning audience member? Are you following Fox News and all this other shit? Not unless you're a freakazoid like me, right? But no, right-wingers, they love going on liberal things, supposedly liberal, and just shitting all over the place. Look at this blue check after blue. Look at Whoa, he's handsome. He's just a handsome right-winger. Oh, yeah. So anyway, I've made my point. Let's get back to it.
Audience wants. I mean, the audience out there, Larry, is very anxious. They're very worried.
No, exactly. Woke Patriot, 100%.
And everyone on stage wants to win, right? They want to be number one. They don't want to be 2, 3, or 4. So what does the audience watching want tonight? They want to know how you, Vivek or Nikki,
look, I mean,
how are you going to leapfrog?
You say that while defending Zelensky's code of dress, homie. Kind of, you know what I mean? You agree with Zelensky's. It's different though, right? Because it's a war. All right. I mean, I do think Sweats is a little. I to throw you a bone, Davey. I don't necessarily disagree with you because I do think we should take politics more seriously. But I do. I mean, like that's the thing about Fetterman is that he's there for substance and. You know, he's the clearest representation of the every guy I've ever seen in politics. Even if he is capitulating a little bit with the neoliberals. Okay, yeah, you see what I mean though, Davey? Okay, I mean it is an apples to oranges comparison. All right, but I don't know. I think the right blowing their gasket over dress code is the least of our fucking problems. You know, I think John Fetterman's what he's wearing is the least of our problems. But okay, yeah, wear a suit, whatever.
Within the party has already really been won by the populists. And when you add up Vivek and Ron DeSantis,
yeah, great point, homeless.
You know, with Trump, that's about 84% of the Republican electorate. So the question is, should 26% of the Republican electorate.
And let's be real. Every time John Fetterman is talked about on right-wing media, they're going to show exclusively pictures of him in his sweats, even if he wears suits for the rest of his goddamn life. In and out of bed, he wears suits for his fucking pajamas. Fox News and every right-wing outlet, and in fact, every centrist outlet like CNN, will continue to use the sweatpants pictures, right? So, homeless does have a great point. But Davey does have a point, though, that there is a kind of mutual respect. And that was kind of, you know, when I was talking about Zelensky's dress code, it's kind of like, I mean, he did, you know, he went to the funeral of, you know, one of those, that big funeral he went to wearing the shirt. Everyone else wearing total formal dress and he's in a shirt, right? And it's like he's staying true to, it's you know, he's built this myth around the dress code. He can't break it, but it does create awkward moments. All right, guys, here we go. Here we go. It's time for some fascism. Yeah, I can't wait for my new dictator. Oh yeah, oh yeah, I love tyranny. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, tyranny. I can't wait. Folks, I can't wait for my new fascist dictator to be installed. It's going to be great. We're going to dissolve democracy, rule everything by fiat, drain the swamp, make sure we give those millionaires and billionaires plenty of tax cuts, and let the money roll into me, the middle and lower class citizen.
because that's what's going to happen, folks. Can't wait. I mean, as soon as we get rid of all the others and it's just clean white people, all of our problems are going to go away. Satire, satire. This is satire. This is satire. This is satire. Hit the wrong button. Satire, satire.
I think it's really interesting. And what you're talking about here, it was reflected in our latest poll. Very or extremely concerned. Inflation, 91%. Housing costs, 79%. Taxes, 75%. You know, we started that last
we need to cut
first
taxes
debate with questions on inflation. But
on
the candidates really didn't take the ball and talk about inflation that
cut
much.
Taxes
that's what
on
people
job
are seeing
creators,
and feeling
and that's
on
going
their
to fix
kitchen
inflation.
table, and that's what affects their votes. I think it'll be interesting to see
Kitchen
how they
table
interact,
issues.
whether
Honey,
they
how can we
act
cut
differently than they did in the
ExxonMobil's
first debate in the
taxes?
shadow of Ronald
How can
Reagan's
we
Air
cut
Force One,
Amazon's
and whether
taxes,
this
honey?
venue provides a different atmosphere.
Kitchen table issues.
That they're still going to go after each other pretty hard.
Yeah, I reckon they will too. Carl Rove, you reckon they're going to go after each other too. But I want to ask you, Carl, you're in the Reagan Library here.
Oh, excuse me, that was
Gipper
rude. Sorry,
casts a
not
long
cool.
shadow. I mean, the spirit of Ronald Reagan.
I'm sorry, I should have muted. That's rude.
Like government.
Seriously, I'm sorry.
He didn't think government solutions were the answers. You think any of the candidates will talk like that? Not government planning, not big government socialism. That's what the problem is. We need a change.
Yeah, I think most of them will. And look, I think there'll be plenty of attacks, but many of
While
the
they
attacks,
want to institute
if they're going to be successful,
control
are going to
over
be
your
against
life.
Joe Biden and the problems he's created. People, as we've talked about, who can identify with the challenges the American people are facing by describing the problem, describing where it came from, and describing the answer.
Jiddox, did these assholes, are these guys, that maybe they're talking about cutting middle class taxes, but are they even talking about it? Because their policies have nothing to do with cutting income tax for the middle and lower class. It's nonstop corporate tax cuts when it comes to their actual policies and actions. All right? Do they even use rhetoric talking about middle and lower class, cutting taxes for middle and lower class? Do they even do that anymore? So get your bullshit out of my chat, homie.
This is a process. I don't think you're going to throw a one-liner or a zinger or an attack and think that's going to elevate you. Nikki Haley, in the last debate, she talked about her foreign policy credentials, talked about where she stood on things as relates to foreign policy. She talked about reproductive rights, and she distinguished herself. It'll be interesting to see if someone can do that tonight.
These motherfuckers don't want to cut the income tax for the lower and middle class.
Let me write that down. Am I okay with that? I don't want to go out too far to limb. But I think ultimately the primary votes are going to win. Kellyanne Conway, you know more about politics than I do. I'm just making this general idea that
you are an embarrassment.
The process is votes. The debates, no, well, that's interesting. The polls, very interesting. But there are going to be primaries and caucuses, Kellyanne Conway. Or do I have that completely wrong?
Larry, to become president of the United States, the main subject matter is not biology and it's not even chemistry. It's math and science. You just need more votes than the other people. And then you just need more votes than your Democratic opponent. It's a complicated process. Very few people ever make it. But one quick thing, everybody's talking about people want somebody tough. They want somebody who fights. But they don't want somebody who fights for fighting's sake. They want somebody who fights for the people. That's the difference. And two core questions tonight. Do I like you? That's the living room test. The more important one is, are you like me? Not do I like you, but are you like me? Do we have connective tissue? Do you understand my everyday struggles and concerns?
I think she nailed it. I mean, everyday struggles.
Yeah, Kudlow, she fucking nailed it. You want to? Okay, no, we're not going to make derogatory jokes here. Woke Patriot. I don't know. I mean, I think if a group, if a body, like, some social club or a government body wants to make an internal rule enforcing a certain code of dress, I don't know if that is like selling out in conformity. You know what I mean? Like, it's I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it can be, like enforced conformity could be part of that. But I don't know if a group of people who are managing a body of something, like I said, a social club to a fucking government body, wants to make an internal rule about a code of dress. I don't know. I'm not really tripping about that. I don't know.
Second of all, look, voters like to have a contest, and they like underdogs. And if they see something attractive,
it is interesting though, because these are American politicians that should be supporting freedom of speech,
So there is an interesting conundrum of, you know, how is one supposed to really support free speech and freedom of expression while insisting on rules that demand conformity? That is kind of an interesting conundrum there, isn't it? Not really a very important one, but it is kind of interesting, right? Like, our body of government should reflect the principles of the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, right? It should, right? It should be like a hardcore representation of all of that. And the people that work there should, you know, should be really hardcore about that. So, it's kind of interesting.
Appreciate it, Carl Rove. Thank you very much.
Good luck to Dana Perino.
Brett,
tonight.
thank you. Good luck to Dana and to the others. Thanks for watching, folks.
No,
Second Republican primary debate
Make them, you know, $50
right
fine,
now.
some fine.
We are 3, 2, 1. Let's do it.
We got the producer, dude. We got the producer, Mike.
In our nation's history, Ronald Reagan, the Gipper, the great communicator, America's 40th commander-in-chief, who railed against big government.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language.
Ran up a deficit that took Clinton fucking, you know, for, I mean, how many years were we in debt? Got rid of all the loony bins, so we had a massive homeless population. Crushed the fucking the air traffic controller union that set a fucking precedent for decades about how one could crush a union. Fuck Ronald Reagan.
About what the left and the media say about us.
What is the key to a thriving economy?
It's innovation, not regulation.
America could do for anyone what she's done for me.
We will stop the spending. We will stop the borrowing. We will stop the earmarks.
What is America?
None of that is going to help the kitchen table issue. All this, like, I mean, honestly, are they really sitting around at home looking at their grocery bill, looking at their energy bill, looking at their cable bill, looking at their gas bill, and going, I want to pay back the national debt? And these politicians, they keep repeating this shit, but it's like, does the constituency legitimately actually fucking care about anything what you're talking about, man? You're not mentioning the middle class. Yeah, homeless bag. I kind of agree with you. I agree with you.
Second Republican
I don't kind of. I agree with you.
2024 primary, live from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California. We're inside the spectacular Air Force One pavilion, where the stage is set for a showdown. I'm Stuart Varney of Fox Business, and I am thrilled to be sitting alongside my co-moderators, Fox News Channel Dana Perino and Ilya Calderon, Univision.
Lenny.
Thank you, Stuart. President Reagan famously described America as a shining city on a hill, and tonight, 7 candidates will make the case they should be the one to lead that city into a brighter tomorrow. But first, they have to convince you, the voter. Please allow me to welcome our Spanish-speaking audience. Muy buenas noches a todos. Desde la Biblioteca Presidencial Ronald Reagan, los precandidatos republicanos también buscan su voto para las primarias del partido.
It's being broadcast across Univision.
Good evening. So let's meet the candidates who have qualified and chosen to be on this stage tonight. They are positioned by the order they rank in the polls, with the highest polling candidate in the middle. Standing center stage, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
He's been working on a smile. Hey, he's been working on a smile. It almost looks human.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Dictator. Can't wait.
Governor Nikki Haley.
Kind of okay with abortion, full fascist, everything else.
It's South Carolina, Senator Tim Scott.
Look up this guy, what he says. Ridiculous.
Governor Chris Christie.
On the wings tonight, former Vice President Mike Pence.
Yeah,
and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
We have questions on a wide variety of issues important to primary voters. Candidates get 1 minute to answer and 30 seconds to respond if singled out. When their time runs out, we'll all hear this.
You'll hear
this. We have a lot of ground to cover, So please keep it civilized.
No.
Let's get going.
That's not good for ratings.
We are in this spacious, sunny place tonight, designed to reflect the very nature and character of Ronald Reagan. It's a place that makes you proud to be an American. Yet today our nation is drowning in division and incivility.
Voters say they dread the 2024 election and find politics exhausting.
Clutch Cargo, what a, ooh, wow, what a big prediction.
Is on the wrong track. And 3 in 4 say the economy is not in good shape.
It's all Biden's
Prices
fault.
are up 18% since 2020.
Yeah.
More than half of the U.S. population has little access to childcare. 85% of Americans say their personal finances are a source of stress.
Republicans don't give a shit about
Americans want
childcare,
to
dude.
believe a leader who says, "You can follow me. I've got you. Don't worry." President Biden is trying to do that.
None of them are
with
saying
Bidenomics.
And yesterday, he joined the picket lines where auto workers are
Boo.
demanding more wages
Solidarity
and
with the
job
people.
security. Senator Scott, you recently reacted by praising Ronald Reagan for firing air traffic controllers in the 1980s, saying, "You strike, you're fired." Would you fire thousands of striking auto workers today, sir?
Yeah, I sure
Obviously,
would.
the President of the United States cannot fire anybody in the private sector. However, we should look back at the first bill in Congress under Joe Biden. The first bill had $86 billion for the union pensions because they continue to overpromise yet underdeliver. One of the challenges that we have in the current
Homeless bag, I hope so. That's I hope so.
They want 4-day French work weeks, but more money. They want more benefits, working fewer hours. That is simply not going to stand. I sat in a finance committee hearing when a widow came before the committee who was promised pensions from the unions, $4,000 a month. Unfortunately, it had been cut to $1,000 a month. We must make sure that we honor the commitments that we make, and one of the ways that we do that, do not overpromise and then underdeliver and leave the taxpayers on the hook. I'll say this, Joe Biden should not be on the picket line. He should be on the southern border working to close our southern border because it is unsafe, wide
same
open,
thing, guys.
and insecure.
Same
leading
thing.
to the deaths of 70,000 Americans in the last 12 months because of fentanyl. It is devastating. Every county in America is now a border county because fentanyl has devastated Americans in every single state. I will also say 6 million
Fentanyl,
illegal
guys.
crossings.
Now we're talking about fentanyl.
Since Joe Biden has taken office. And he eliminated Title 42. The one thing he should do is finish the wall, reinstate Title 42, and get the job done.
Oh, honey. Oh, honey.
Well, I can promise you that we are going to have a lot of questions on the border and immigration. But in the meantime, we do want to talk about the economy and jobs, and especially want to talk about this strike for just a moment more. Mr. Ramaswamy, you've said you really empathize with the strikers. You're standing next to Senator Scott. Do you agree with what he said, or do you think he's wrong?
I agree with some of what he said, for sure. I like the spirit of it. I'll say that I don't have a lot of patience for the union bosses. I think that's where he and I actually have a common view. I do have a lot of sympathy for the workers, however.
There it is.
People are going through real hardship in this country.
Oh, dangerous.
I've been through hardship growing up. My father stared down layoffs at GE under Jack Welch's tenure at the GE plant in Evendale, Ohio. My mom had to work overtime in nursing homes in Southwest Ohio to make ends meet and pay off our home loan. So I understand that hardship is not a choice.
Dangerous.
But victimhood is a choice. And we choose to be victorious in the United States of America. You know what, if I was giving advice to those workers, I would say go picket in front of the White House in Washington, D.C. That's really where the protest needs to be. Disastrous economic policies that have driven up prices, that have driven up interest rates and mortgage rates. At the same time, wages remaining stagnant. What we need is to deliver economic growth in this country. Unlock American energy. Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy. Put people back to work by no longer paying them more money to stay at home. Stabilize the U.S. dollar itself and rescind a majority of those unconstitutional.
Keep fucking bitching about it, Jumbo Jack. Keep fucking crying, man. I'm drinking them tears.
unconstitutional federal regulations that are hampering our economy. That is how we unleash American exceptionalism. And that's not a Democratic vision or a Republican vision. That is an American vision that we embrace economic growth, and capitalism is still the best system known to man to lift us up from poverty, and we should not apologize for it. That's what it means to be an American.
Wow. Focus grouped, fucking refined, curated, sharpened. This message has been poured over by a team of psychologists and fucking political specialists. This man is very, very dangerous, and that was a very good way to hate on the union, which you have to, but also saying in a vague way that he's going to help the middle class. Of course, no policies there, because his policies are quite obvious. Dangerous, dangerous son of a bitch.
Together, the CEOs of General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis make 336 times the number of rank and file workers. That's just part of a wider income inequality trend in the country. The richest 1% now controls 1/5 of all income. Vice President Pence, last week you said you side with American workers, but you also support how these companies operate. Which is it?
Well, thank you for the question. I want to thank Univision and Fox Business for assembling such a wonderful forum. Look, I do disagree with something Tim Scott just said. Joe Biden doesn't belong on a picket line. He belongs on the unemployment line.
Got him. Got him.
And look, I'm from the second leading manufacturing state in the country per capita. I was governor of the state of Indiana. We brought 12,000 factories back to America during our administration. I know something about manufacturing. I got to tell you, while the union bosses are talking about class warfare and talking about disparity in wages, I have to tell you, I really believe what's driving that is Bidenomics has failed. Wages are not keeping up with inflation. Auto workers and all American workers are really bad line, families are struggling in this economy. And Joe Biden's Green New Deal agenda is good for Beijing and bad for Detroit. We ought to repeal the Green New Deal, get rid of the mandates and subsidies that are driving
Vivek has the right idea.
Automotive manufacturing.
You know, he's vaguely implying he wants to help the middle and lower class. Middle and lower class doesn't give a shit about the stuff Mike Pence is talking about right now.
And I'll be standing for the right to work of every American to join a union or not join a union
to be exploited.
As they decide.
Right to be exploited.
Senator
Wrong.
Scott, would you care to respond?
Wrong.
There's no doubt that Joe Biden needs to be fired. That's why I'm running for president. I look forward to being the next president of the United States. I will also say, I know America can do for anyone what she's done for me. It's all a farce. It's why we're focusing on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting the America we all love. Growing up in a single-parent household, I wondered if the American dream would work for a kid in the inner city. I've got good news for every single child, whether you're in the inner cities of Chicago or the rural parts of Iowa. America and the dream, it is alive, it is well, and it is healthy. God bless these United States of America.
Nailed it.
I think we need to look at exactly what happened. Biden showed up on that picket line, but why are those workers actually there? It's because of all of the spending that he has pushed through in the economy that's raised the inflation. So when you look at the fact that we are paying,
that's why their bosses are paying them less. That's why their bosses are walking away with massive, obscene paychecks, and they're getting pittance.
With an economic plan, eliminate the gas and diesel tax so that they have more money in their pocket. Let's focus on going after middle America and cutting taxes for middle America and collapsing those brackets. Let's get rid of unfair distortions like the state and local tax that they give to wealthy people in blue states and not paid by red states. And let's make sure we make the small business taxes permanent. They only made those temporary. They made the corporate taxes permanent. Let's focus on what it takes to get more cash in the pockets of workers. That's when we'll be able to deal with strikes like this, not sitting on a picket line.
Nikki's the fascist for me.
Thank you, Governor Haley. We have other questions to get to about economy. Allow me to.
I just have to. I'm sorry.
Allow me to.
I'm sorry. I have to jump in because we're missing the point, and every other network is missing the point. The reason why people are striking in Detroit is because Joe Biden's
interference with capital markets and with free markets. The subsidies, we're subsidizing the automakers and we're subsidizing the cars and a particular kind of car, not every car.
We shouldn't be subsidizing private industries.
Electric vehicles. And when you decide that we're going to take all of your taxpayer monies, take $1 billion, subsidize a certain type of vehicle, and the batteries come from China. China controls 85% of the rare earth minerals. They're called rare earth because they're measured in parts per million. China is moving 100,000 pounds of earth in Indonesia, in Africa. They're literally destroying the planet so that they can make a battery that's in a car subsidized here. That's why they're striking, because they need 2/3 less workers to build an electric car. Joe Biden, this strike
that's actually not there. That's none of. I guarantee if you could interview every single UAW member, not a single one of them would say that.
The government will shut down if Congress does not reach a deal by the end of this week.
Shut it down!
Vice President Pence warns that politics of, quote, Trump's populist proteges, like Mr. Ramaswamy, are a road to ruin for the GOP.
Whoa!
If the government shuts down, should voters blame populist Republicans?
Voters should blame everybody who's in Washington, D.C. They get sent down there to do the job, and they've been failing at doing the job for a very long time. And let's be honest about this with the voters. You know, during the Trump administration, they added $7 trillion in national debt. And now the Biden administration has put another $5 trillion on and counting. They have failed, and they're in the spot they're in now because none of them are willing to tell the truth. None of them are willing to take on the difficult issues. They just want to keep kicking the can down the road. And the inflation that Nikki spoke about is absolutely right. It's caused by government spending. And that's why people all across this country are suffering tonight.
Government spending,
government spending. We don't get any answers.
Their constituency doesn't talk about this.
In his basement. And won't answer as to why he's raising the debt the way he's done. And
what
Donald
about
Trump
food,
hides behind the walls
of
his
gas?
golf clubs and won't show up here to answer questions like all the rest of us are up here to answer. He put $7 trillion on the debt. He should be in this room to answer those questions to the people you talk about who are suffering. And if the government closes, it's the blame. It is to the blame of everyone in Washington, D.C., who has failed to do their job and just plays to the
God, the laptop. His dick was like this. It's the end of America.
We want to get things done. Here's how we get it done.
I love Trump. Trump.
Can we please respect the time? Governor DeSantis, you haven't spoken, please.
The people in Washington are shutting down the American dream with their reckless behavior. They borrowed, they printed, they spent, and now you're paying more for everything. They are the reason for that. They have shut down our national sovereignty by allowing our border to be wide open. So
it's not wide. It's not even close to wide open.
Tears for these people. They need to change what's going on.
Biden's kept Trump's policies.
He's completely missing in action from leadership. And you know who else is missing in action? Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight.
That's the direction he's going in.
He owes it to you to defend his record.
That's
where
the gamble.
They added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have.
DeSantis thinks Trump's going to get arrested.
Florida, we cut taxes. We ran surpluses. We've paid down over 25% of our state debt.
Florida's economy is a disaster, by the way.
Spending when it came to my desk, and as your president, when they send me a bloating
Florida's
spending
economy
bill
is a fucking disaster. Look it
up. I'm going to take out this veto pen and I'm going to send it right back to them.
Yeah, that's right.
You mentioned me in the question. I just want to address
I'm going to go to center stop, but I have a question that is on the minds of a lot of moms and dads and Americans, and I know that you've been thinking about it because child care costs, they are up. They're topping $10,000 per month.
None of these guys have child care cost policies.
On child
None of these guys have child care cost policies.
Is it worth it for me to?
They were literally just talking about how they're going to cut. So how are you going to spend money on the people? None of these guys have child care policies. Watch how quickly they got to give something, right? So they're going to do a little nugget of fucking something and then pivot to their talking points. They can't talk about child care. None of them have policies to help with child care.
To work, or does it not make sense for me financially? In 3 days, the billions of dollars in pandemic-era funding is going to end, and 70,000 daycares could close. So you had an effort to broaden eligibility for child care assistance. That fell apart last year. And for the moms and dads out there who are worried, What can you tell them if you weren't able to get it through the Congress? How could you do it as president?
Certainly one of the things I did as a member of Congress was to make sure that we protected the Head Start programs around the country, giving people the opportunity to pick and choose the place that they send their children. The challenges that we see today.
Choice. What did he just say? He basically just said he privatized childcare that allowed these private entities to join in a wonderful race to the bottom in terms of quality for your kids, so that they could extract as much profit as possible from the care of your child. So you got choice in the exploitation that you get. You could go to this race to the bottom corporate child care facility, or you could go to this race to the bottom corporate child care facility. That's in no way nearly. The thing is, though, okay, I can't get into it, but sometimes private solutions, can be a boon to public offerings, right? Like if you're like, well, I don't want the public thing because it's too bare bones. I want something more. I'll pay extra for it. So that could be a good thing, but that's not what he's talking about, okay? He's talking about replacing a social option with a totally corporate one, so that profit can be generated. That's what he's fucking bragging about right there.
Under the Biden administration is that the cost for daycare has gone over $15,000 per child. In the Build Back Broker plan, he called it a Build Back Better plan.
He didn't implement Build Back Better.
$29,000. The way
he hasn't even implemented that.
Is to make sure that we actually cut taxes and give more Americans their money back.
Was that one of the things he actually accomplished?
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We actually lowered a single mother's taxes by 70% on the federal level. For dual-income households by 60%.
So you get shitty child care, but you get a little tax cut. But no, you don't get. Remember when George Bush said we got tax cuts? Remember when Donald Trump said we got tax cuts? They sent us $100 check and we got a little break for a couple months, and then it was right back to the fucking. Meanwhile, the corporate taxes that they passed along with those stayed permanent. God, it's such a con job. It's such a con.
Child tax credit.
Why are they giving him so much time?
By doing that, more parents had more resources to make the decisions how to take care of their family. The one thing we should do is let the American people keep their money. When that happens, the greatest opportunities rise from the ashes.
I need to jump in here. 15 seconds. Go ahead. And never going to the border.
Ilya mischaracterized a part of my view. I think this artificial division is unhelpful in our party. The real divide is not between the Republicans on this stage. And in the Reagan Library, I want to say these are good people on this stage. The real divide is between the majority of us in this country who love the United States of America and share our founding ideals. Free speech, meritocracy, the idea you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character, and the fringe minority in the Democrat Party that has a chokehold over that party. That's the real divide.
Fringe minority? What are you talking about?
AOC? We need to unite this party.
We are
going to talk about immigration and the border and
child care. We have
I think we're going to go on. You have to. We have all these questions. We're going to get to you. We're going to come back to you.
No, they're not going to get to you. You don't have a chance in hell.
In North Dakota, we knew that the cliff was coming. We knew that there was going to be millions of people without it. And so guess what? We planned.
Okay.
And when we passed legislation because
that's not cutting taxes.
We'll get you some questions, but you're going to have to let us move on.
That's not cutting taxes.
Child care is workforce infrastructure.
You spent money on people. You spent government money on people. What are you, the swamp?
The following.
The idea of amnesty for those who have put down roots and who have lived here, even though some time back they may have entered illegally.
2 years later, President Reagan granted amnesty to nearly 3 million immigrants.
This is a really good setup. Wow, you got your in Ronald Reagan's library, Ronald Reagan quote saying that he supports amnesty. How are you going to tiptoe around this one, fascists?
Something no Democrat or Republican president has done since. Governor Christie, as governor of a non-border state in 2010, you supported a path to citizenship. But when you ran for president in 2016, you flipped, saying immigrants should be tracked like FedEx packages. Where do you stand now on a path to citizenship for 11 million of undocumented immigrants?
Well, the problem is that since no one has done anything since we first had this discussion 13 years ago, we're not in a position to be able to do any of that anymore. What we have to do now is first treat this like the law enforcement problem it is.
He's brilliant.
Our laws are being...
Wow, what a brilliant... He scrambles your brain, gaslights you with a statement. What does that even mean? What? Huh? What, now we're talking about this? Okay, what?
Being broken every day at the southern border. Every day. And Joe Biden and his crew is doing nothing about enforcing that law. They are letting it go. And by the way, they announced during the presidential race they were going to let it go.
You said you want to treat immigrants like FedEx and ship them back. So now we're talking about Biden.
And we need to have a president who acts like I did as governor. Enforce the law. First and foremost.
And now we're fervently anti-immigrant.
Sign an executive order to send the National Guard to partner with Customs and Border Patrol.
So no, you don't agree with Ronald Reagan and amnesty then?
To make sure that we stop the flow of fentanyl over the border, but also to make sure
and
that
how
we send a much
offensive is
different
that? How offensive is that? These women and children, these people desperate for a better life coming over the border. He's associating them with drug dealers. You know, oh, they're bringing fentanyl. They're bringing fentanyl.
Message. We want you here in this country to fill the 6 million vacant jobs we have, but only if you come here to follow the law and only if you come here legally. If you come here illegally, we will apprehend you and we will send you back across the border from which you came. And the fact is that until we set a law and order agenda in this country, not only now but in the future, we won't be able to continue this. And I'll tell you this. Donald Trump failed on this as well. He said he was going to build a wall across the whole border. He built 52 miles of wall and said Mexico would pay for it. Guess what? I think if Mexico knew that he was only going to build 52 miles, they might have paid for the 52 miles.
I'm just going to pause right here for about 60 seconds to annoy Seventh Cycle, who I just banned for being a little bitch. So we're just going to sit here. Minute 30 seconds.
Most illegal immigrants are coming from countries south of the border. You've seen the Fox News drone. It's captured this steady stream of people coming into the country on a daily basis. In fact, I believe we have a live picture of it tonight. That is happening right now, live. In the last decade, the U.S. has spent nearly $55 billion to address the root causes of migration. But crime, poverty, and corruption, they persist, and the number of migrants is only growing. Are we wasting our money?
Well, what happens is when Joe Biden waved the green flag.
These migrants have the potential to make America continue to be the strongest nation in the world. Let's never forget, the great poem at the base of the Statue of Liberty, and what immigrants have done to make this country as strong and great as it is. To see this vilification, especially when we have space in this country. There are solutions. Yes, it's going to cost money to house and train people, but we could turn these people into productive, patriotic, strong members of American society. And to see how we're putting all of our problems on, with all I'm seeing this happen in Canada too, right? Oh, these immigrants coming in, they're ruining everything. Rent's going up and I can't get a job and this and this and this and that. But here's the thing, is that the neoliberals do need to address this. They do need to talk about this and have some kind of solution moving forward, because their silence and their support of the status quo that is not fixing anything, that's not helping either. It allows the right wing to shit all over it.
It told everybody to come, and now we've seen 6 million people cross the border. We've had more fentanyl that have killed Americans in the Iraq, Vietnam, or Afghanistan wars combined, we need to make sure that we are a country of laws. The second we stop being a country of laws, we give up everything this country was founded on. So we have to secure the border. The way we do that is, first of all, defund sanctuary cities. You see what's happening in Philadelphia right now. It's got to stop. We need to make sure we put 25,000 more Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do their job. I spent 400 miles down that border, and I'm telling you, Border Patrol agents aren't allowed to do their job. Let's go back to remain in Mexico policy.
Do their
Instead
job.
of catch and release, let's go to catch and deport.
What about
and
the
let's
aid that what about the aid that federal taxpayers are paying to deal with the root causes? It's not working.
It's really gross that this woman over here is not calling out the blatant fucking racism and xenophobia from these people that are basically just, I can't wait to deport as many Mexicans as possible. Really, there should be, you got nothing to say about that, huh?
The only aid that we should be spending right now is to secure the border, the southern border, the northern border, period.
You would cut
we
off
need
aid
to
to the
keep
region?
Americans safe, and right now Americans are not safe. Only when we fix the immigration system, only when we get the border secure, should we ever look at putting any more money into this. Our money should be about keeping Americans safe. We're not doing that. Joe Biden's not doing that. And you mentioned Congress and
these people are not criminals. Some people, yeah, some of them, yeah, are, but they're a statistic. They're a fraction of a fraction. Grand majority of these people just want to they want to work hard and make a living. Oh, the fucking shame of it. And it's so gross that they're just like, all of them, they're being lumped into criminals and rapists, just like Trump said as he's floating down the fucking escalator, man. It's so fucking gross, dude. Talk to your average Mexican immigrant, okay? And tell me that isn't the hardest working motherfucker you've ever met in your life. It's so gross.
and shutting down government, I'll make it clear, we have to change the budget process in 4 years. In 40 years, Congress has only delivered a budget on time 4 times in 40 years. If they don't keep the government open, they should not get paid. No pay, no budget. That's the way we should.
Governor DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, we have a question for you. Governor DeSantis, China invested $12 billion in Latin America just last year. They signed strategic partnerships with 7 countries, including Mexico. And China's military ties to the region now include arms sales and training exercises. Are you comfortable with China deepening ties with our southern neighbors?
Of course not. And the reason why we're in this mess is because elites in D.C. for far too long have chosen surrender over strength when it comes to the CCP. Some people in our country got rich, our industrial base.
Says the party of literal Russia apologists who want fucking Putin to succeed in his emperoric ambitions. Yeah, they're hypocrites.
Got hollowed out, and they have been able to build the second most powerful military in the entire world. We need a totally new approach to China. We are going to have real hard power in the Indo-Pacific, like Reagan, to deter their ambitions. We're going to have economic independence from China, where we're decoupling our economy, and we are going to go after the cultural power they have in this country. As governor of Florida, I banned the CCP from buying land in our state. We should do that all across these United States. We shouldn't have them in our universities. We shouldn't have Confucius institutes. So you see a country in decline.
So ban some books, burn some books. That's the solution, you fucking fash. What? We can't study Confucius? What? We're going to get all communist up in here? Confucius is a fucking philosopher, homie. Holy shit, dog.
Power's in decline. China's going to surpass us this decade, and if they do that, that's going to affect every single American household. As your president, I am not going to let that happen. I'm going to.
Honey, get all the Confucius books out of my library. Oh, wait a minute. No, I don't have a library, and I don't have a wife. Who am I yelling at?
Reverse this country's decline. We are going to choose strength, not surrender, when it comes to the CCP.
America is not a country in decline. Under Joe Biden, we are a country in retreat.
You proposed, quote, universal deportation for all undocumented immigrants and their children, even if the children...
She keeps going back to immigrants, and they're like, yeah, deport them all. Anyway, I want to be a fash.
Are citizens of the United States. Under what legal premise will you expel U.S. citizens?
So the first thing I want to say is I agree with everything. The Republicans on the stage are on the right side of this issue. Militarize the southern border, stop funding sanctuary cities, and end foreign aid to Mexico and Central America to end the incentives to come across. But I do go a step further. You're right about that, Ilya. I favor ending birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal immigrants in this country. Now, the left will howl about the Constitution and the...
No, we howl about his hypocrisy. He's used all kinds of benefits that have, you know, for immigrants. His family came in as immigrants, of course. As, I don't know if you were able to tell. It's just so disgusting.
14th Amendment. The difference between me and them is I've actually read the 14th Amendment. What it says is that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof are citizens. So nobody believes that the kid of a Mexican diplomat in this country enjoys birthright citizenship. Not a judge or legal scholar in this country will disagree with me on that. Well, if the kid of a Mexican diplomat doesn't enjoy birthright citizenship, then neither does the kid of an illegal migrant who broke the law to come here. And as the father of two sons, it is hard for me to look them in the eye and say, you have to follow the law when our own government fails to follow its own laws. That's how we really go the distance and solve this problem and restore the rule of law.
A constitutional amendment or just reinterpreting the Constitution with a corrupt right-wing Supreme Court?
Law in the United States of America.
He's really slick. He's really, really, really dangerous. This is the fascist to look out for. And he's much better than Mike Bloomberg, was, with his attempt to take over the country. Much more. I mean, the team behind Vivek here is very skilled. They know exactly the right buttons to hit. And Vivek is such a good little tool. He really conforms around these messages and delivers it with such compassion that you wanna believe it, man. Yeah, no,
because that is part of what it even means to be an American.
Senator Scott, you oppose ending birthright citizenship. What does Mr. Ramaswamy have wrong on that issue?
Yeah, there's no doubt the fact that when you think of the Constitution and the 14th Amendment, it was certainly written as it relates to slavery, not as it relates to illegal immigration. It's been applied to illegal immigration. So the challenge that we face is, in fact, one that has to do with whether or not the people that come here are under the jurisdiction of our laws. And frankly, if you come here illegally, you are not. Now, surviving a Supreme Court argument is something I can't tell you. But from a perspective of the Constitution, I think it's simple that clearly it was designed for slavery and not for illegal.
So he agrees with Vivek. It's nuts, man. This is on Eurovision, and there's a big contingent of Mexican Americans who support Trump, who want to be right wing. This is not helping.
Legal immigration. I'll go one step further, though. When we have a conversation about the things that are happening on this stage, we think about the fact that Vivek just said we were all good people, and I appreciate that because last debate
we're all good people.
We were all
as you're calling for the deportation of women and children and hardworking fucking citizens here, man. It's crazy. I know they're not technically citizens yet, but goddamn, they want to be. They want to pay taxes. They want to participate.
And paid for. And I thought about that for a little while and said, I can't imagine how you could say that knowing that you were just in business with the Chinese Communist Party and the same people that funded Hunter Biden millions of dollars was a partner of yours as well. It's not nonsense.
So look, here's what I want to respond. These are good people who are tainted by a broken system, and it's not the fault of anybody who's involved.
Some of us are tainted.
Excuse me. Thank you for speaking while I'm interrupting. While I'm speaking.
Well, you said bottom paper.
If I may finish,
you can't be on both sides.
Gentlemen, you'll have your turn.
One of the challenges we should have a debate between.
Yeah, the issues that matter. Kicking out hundreds of millions of people, or tens of millions of people. I don't know how many people are living here illegally, and how many of them are flipping your burgers and picking your crops and saving your fucking economy millions of dollars of wages because they take basically slave wages to do some of the hardest work in America. Oh yeah, no. Look what happened at Florida with his little rule here. I mean, because DeSantis really should be talking about immigration because he's the one that basically made it impossible to be an illegal immigrant and work in Florida, and it's done wonders for his economy. Yeah, look, I understand he's got a surplus, but that that's not the whole story of the Florida economy. It really isn't.
No, we did business in China. Everybody knows that.
If I may
focus
address,
on holding Joe Biden accountable. That's
Yeah,
how we need to be
what
focusing
about
on.
Joe Biden?
Everybody speaking at the same time, no one can understand
Exactly.
your message.
So if I may, I agree with Ron DeSantis on China. When every other CEO expanded into the Chinese market, you know what I did with my first company? We opened a subsidiary in China. But you know what I did that was different than every other company? We got the hell out of there. And when I started my next company, Strive, right when no, that's years ago. 2023. Right when I started my next company, Strive, to compete against BlackRock. Excuse me. To compete against BlackRock, I made a commitment that we would never do business in China. And I will say something.
I think you have more than time to explain your point.
Well, if I was interrupted by a lot of people here, and I want to be respectful because I believe these are good people, but I do not believe in these. We're sitting here in the Reagan Library.
Yes, I wish you
in
did
the
not think it
honor
was
of
midnight
Ronald Reagan's
in America.
library, if I may, from one admirer of Ronald Reagan to another. From one admirer of Reagan to another, we cannot sit and violate Reagan's 11th commandment.
I want to hear about that.
Let's have a policy debate.
What's going on?
Let us have a policy debate.
Let's have about their records.
Let's have a policy debate. And the right answer is we need to declare independence from China, and I will see that through.
Vice President Pence, in 2017, the Trump-Pence administration canceled DACA, which put the legal status of 600,000 Dreamers in the hands of the courts. Dreamers work and they pay taxes. As president, if the Supreme Court ends DACA, would you work with Congress to reach a permanent solution for Dreamers?
Well, first, let me say I'm glad Vivek pulled out of his business deal in 2018 in China. That must have been about the time you decided to start voting in presidential elections. So we're nice to have you participating in elections. So let me speak to this issue. Number one,
such a phony.
I negotiated the Remain in Mexico policy with the Mexican government. We used economic power to bring the Mexican government to the table. We built hundreds of miles of border wall, and despite
that hasn't done shit.
By what's said here today, we reduced illegal immigration and asylum abuse by 90%. And as President of the United States, I can do it again.
Where is he pulling those facts? I gotta know. 90%. What does that even mean? Asylum abuse? Huh? That's this. Wow. That's the. Show me that stat. What is he talking about?
And the truth is, we need to fix a broken immigration system, and I'll do that as well. But first and foremost, a nation without borders is not a nation. And we have to secure the southern border of the United States of America. I know how to do it, and we will do it again.
So turn America into a fortress where no one can come and go. Just a big wall across the entire border, guys. What are you going to do about all the illegal immigration that comes over the air? Either just flying over the wall. I mean, the solution is far more complicated than just building a fucking wall or just stopping them from coming over. I will say, though, the left doesn't really have a good plan for this. The left doesn't really have a good solution for the people that are the same thing in Canada. They don't really have a good solution for this, and there kind of needs to be a good one. It needs to be humane and it needs to work. But there's also the other problem where if you set up a good system where people can come over and they're good, other third world countries will take advantage of that situation. They'll take advantage of that situation, and they'll just start, instead of making their economy better, instead of making the quality of life better because they're too busy stealing, they'll just send all their poor people to another country. So that phenomenon does exist as well. It is very complicated.
Say one other thing about China. Let me say one other thing about China.
Would you negotiate with Congress to give a solution to the problem that Dreamers have right now? They are on a limbo.
Dreamers, I don't give a shit about Dreamers.
I served in Congress for 12 years, although it seemed longer. But something I've done different than everybody on the stage is I've actually secured reform in Congress. Ron, you talk a really good game about cutting spending, but you've increased spending in Florida by 30%. When I was a member of Congress in 2006, right after Hurricane Katrina, Dana, you remember it, we stood our ground. I led House conservatives. We cut $100 billion out of the federal budget. It can be done, but as I said in the last debate, I'll say again, this is no time for on-the-job training.
Republicans sitting at their table talking about how awesome it is that, you know, these things have been cut, this money's hasn't been spent. Does anyone do that? Are there any Republicans that actually care about cutting spending? Honestly. They talk about kitchen table.
This break, and I propose to go to a break. How will these candidates make America safer as rising crime plagues our cities? Debate night continues.
Okay, rising crime claims our cities. Do you think that they're going to bring up the fact that crime is higher in states that are run by right-wing governments? Crime is higher in right-wing areas than in San Francisco and all of California, in L.A. and Compton. Crime is higher in Kentucky and Texas. Are they going to talk about that? Of course they're not. Yeah, we got more greased up, slick grifters over here. More, I mean, there's just a whole bunch of these guys, man.
Question on immigration. To go after Vivek Ramaswamy, there was a lot of chaos and a lot of talking after that. Jason Chaffetz, it was interesting to see Tim Scott be the first one to pivot off and take the shots, and it really did open up. The dam broke after that.
Yeah, I think Senator Scott was actually very effective with that. I think he was clear. He had a great first answer, but to him then come back and throw that back at Vivek Ramaswamy is one of the most memorable things from the first debate. I think was really effective, and people will go back and talk about that and what actually happened and what did he do and not do in China that draws attention to some of his business dealings in China.
No doubt, Rachel. Take it anywhere you want, guys. I'll cue you up, but you can take it anywhere you want. It was interesting that DeSantis has now joined Chris Christie in sort of calling out Trump directly on not being at the debate and debt. It seems he's leaning into that approach.
All right, we got a Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I think that shows that Ron DeSantis thinks he can break away and then challenge Donald Trump, whereas the others are
saying
not
the T
doing
word
that
now.
yet.
Okay.
I will say this.
Maybe my analysis was
I
off.
thought Burgum was, I know this is maybe a Will question because Will's kind of always been interested in Burgum. But I really loved that when that first question came up, he was the one who had the right answer. He was like, listen, that whole union line, everything that's happening.
Oh, wow.
This is
TYT
about
not even
EV
covering this?
vehicles.
This is
This is
pathetic.
about this policy. I thought he was the one that had the best answer on that. Tim Scott clearly
Midas
got
touch.
a lot
Oh,
of
God,
advice
here
from
we
the
go.
last debate where he sort
No.
of shrunk
Nobody's
into
covering
the woodwork a
this.
little too much. So he's trying to come out punching. I still think sometimes he just sounds a little bit too political cliche, a little bit too talking point. He needs to break out of that.
Yeah, you're right. I kind of had ho-hum answers all the way down till Burgum says, yeah, he jumped in and just said what it was, EVs. Will, what do you think so far?
I thought Burgum's answer on substance was the best of the night and directly.
You think they're not going to go north? You think they're not going to go to the United States? That's why presidents of both parties and legislators in both parties have always known that if you continue to fund these countries, if you continue to give humanitarian aid, that is actually the best tool we have to prevent people from migrating up north. Because when they don't have the resources in their own countries because we've blocked aid, they have to leave. That's how it works.
Well, so I mean, yeah, he's talking about how, look, you know, the West exacerbates, economic, the economic despair in a lot of these countries that are sending over migrants, and we could help them more, no doubt about it. I do agree with that, but I mean, I don't think the left has a good answer for the inherent corruption of Mexico, for the inherent corruption of a lot of these African countries that are sending over migrants to Canada and the UK. The left really doesn't have a good answer for, how do we fix the problems of another country, so that because we should be looking for a solution to this despair, right? We shouldn't have because they're coming over for a better life. Why can't they find a better life in their own country? Is it simply impossible? And no, the answer is, of course, no, it's not impossible. But I don't think the left has a very good answer for that, right? Because the solution isn't just send a shitload of money to Mexico and then everything will get better. That's not going to fix it.
Problem in our country. The Fox News and others have been covering it. Governor Christie, Crime in major cities is striking fear into the hearts of Americans. Just last night, looters took over the streets of Philadelphia. You said in the last debate that you would use U.S. attorneys to prosecute crimes local prosecutors won't. But they are stretched as well, and they could not handle all of the lawlessness, the shoplifting, all the carjacking.
Simply had enough of that asshole. I don't play these ridiculous. You know, like they read a quarter of Ben Shapiro's How to Destroy a Liberal book, and they think they have all the tools necessary to gaslight their way to a fascist dictatorship. I'm so tired of people like Mr. Jumbo Jack, right? So sorry, but after 10 timeouts, I think it's time for the ban hammer. Thank you for your time, asshole.
The armed robberies, they're all surging. Progressive prosecutors were elected by their constituents, and they can't be fired by a president. So what would you do to end the revolving door of criminality?
Well, look, Dana, I'm the only one on this stage who's done it. For 7 years, I ran the 5th largest office in this country at the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey, and we set records for the number of prosecutions that we brought that still have not been broken. And the reason was that we went after the crime that was affecting people's lives. And as president, I will appoint an attorney general and instruct that attorney general that you are to put all the resources that are necessary to bring our cities back.
You know, and I like the Jumbo Jack from fucking Jack in the Box. That's a good burger. That's a good, solid burger, the Jumbo Jack. So he's running around shitting on a good American burger over here. It's a goddamn shame.
Back under control.
We believe you work,
oh God,
and
what
you got to
happened?
do that, and so that goes for all the welfare benefits. And you know what that's done, Stuart? Our unemployment rate is the lowest amongst any big state. We have the highest GDP growth of any big state, and even CNBC, no
whatever.
fan of mine, ranked Florida the #1 economy in America.
On the topic of healthcare, Governor Haley, healthcare is the leading cause of bankruptcy for American families, accounting for 2/3 of all personal bankruptcies. As president, how you protect Americans who get sick from financial ruin?
First of all, how can we be the best country in the world and have the most expensive health care in the world? We have an issue. My mom was in the hospital, and when she was in the hospital, they tried to bring her a couple of Tylenol, and she said, I don't need it. And they said, honey, go ahead and take it because you're paying for it anyway. Why is it that when we got the bill, the insurance company and the hospital negotiated the bill for her without her having anything to do with it? When I am president, we will break all of it, from the insurance company to the hospitals to the doctor's offices to the PBMs to the pharmaceutical companies. We will make it all transparent, because when you do that, you will realize that's what the problem is. Second thing is you've got to deal with tort law. The doctors don't give you the 10 tests because they want to. It's because of the 90% chance they'll get sued. And then we need to bring competition back to healthcare, get rid of certificate of need systems, and make sure that they can compete. We have to put the patient in the driver's seat. They've been in the back seat for way too long. And once we give the patient the ability to decide their health care, deciding which plan they want, that is when we will see magic happen. But we're going to have to make every...
Just went through Nikki Haley's website looking for literally any mention of the word health in this website. I went to Action Center, record of results, news, and about Haley, and not a single fucking mention of the word health is in her website, is in her campaign website. So I thought I would just look at that real quick while she tells us how she's the champion of healthcare and how she's going to make it happen. She doesn't have one fucking policy to help improve healthcare.
Every part of the industry open up and show us where their warts are, because they all have them, and we need to fix this on behalf of the American people.
She has no plans to fix healthcare. Doesn't talk about it.
Well, yes, we're not talking about the real problem ever. We talk about why do we have
It's the
most
first
expensive
time they cut to
healthcare
this
in
guy.
the world. It's because the federal government got involved the same way they did with EVs, and they said we're going to subsidize a particular kind of software back in 2008 under Obama.
What?
And they said, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to make everyone productive. All of you that are watching have been to a doctor's office when the doctor's got his back to you and their hands on a keyboard. The only industry in the world that's ever absorbed $1 trillion of IT and became less productive. They saw less patients per day as U.S. healthcare because they were subsidizing a certain kind of technology. It wasn't about improving healthcare. It was about picking winners and losers. Every time the federal government's involved, whether it's higher education, healthcare, or now the auto industry, things get more expensive and less competitive.
That was a great transition.
It's the fucking software that they're using to keep the records. That's why my health care is through the fucking roof. What? Get off the fucking stage, dude. Go, man.
Because we are going to move on. The future of education in America. What's the government's role in finding a way forward? The second Republican debate.
All right, so this ridiculous video player where I don't have options to scroll fucked me over. So let me just see if I can find the spot that I accidentally skipped. Yeah, so it went like right over here to Ron DeSantis. So we missed a Vivek Ramaswamy thing. So let's go ahead and get what Vivek has to say here real quick while we're...
Mr. Ramaswamy, according to Customs and Border Protection, about 90% of fentanyl is seized at official border crossings, and 57% of the smugglers are U.S. citizens. How would you stop fentanyl brought into the country, mostly by U.S. citizens, through ports of entry?
There's two sides to this, and we have to be very honest about it. One is we do have to seal that southern border. Building the wall is not enough. They're building cartel-financed tunnels underneath that wall. Semi-trucks can drive through them.
So shoot them on sight, right? Women and children, blow them away. Fucking criminals. Carrying fentanyl, probably.
We have to use our own military to seal the Swiss cheese of a southern border, but we also have to be honest. There's a demand-side problem in this country, too, a mental health epidemic. I met family in Iowa. Two parents, Kathy and Derek. They lost their son, Sebastian, 17 years old. He bought Percocet on Snapchat, and then he died. Why did he die? Because it was laced with fentanyl. That is closer to bioterrorism, not a drug overdose. That is poisoning. So it is our job to make sure that never happens. But it's also our job to make sure that 17-year-olds don't turn to Percocet via Snapchat. We have to bring back mental health care in this country, not with pumping pharmaceuticals, but with faith.
Is he talking about the rappers that are drinking lean? Is that what he's talking about?
Based approaches that restore purpose and meaning in the next generation of Americans. Many of them are getting it through social media. And this isn't a Republican point or a Democrat point. But if you're 16 years old or under, you should not be using an addictive social media product, period. This is something that we can both agree on, and we can revive both the mental health of this country while stopping the fentanyl epidemic that will kill more people this year than who died on 9/11.
Wow. And banning Snapchat is going to fix the fentanyl crisis, guys. Did you know this? Did you know this?
Refuse to be a passive bystander sitting in the White House.
And all of the mental health stuff. We're going to do Snapchat, but then we're going to hit up. We're not going to touch X. We're not going to talk about why. Can't touch X. But Facebook, he's liberal. We can get him. Snapchat and that TikTok, we got to go on. We got to, unless the Chinese government favors right-wing Republicans in TikTok, then we could probably keep that. But it's got to go. It's bad for mental health.
The hollowed out husk of a current president we have. We will step up and address this problem to stand for Americans and our children.
Why are you encouraging TikTok? Quit encouraging TikTok.
That is why, everything he said I agree with. That is why, as Commander-in-Chief, I'm going to use the U.S. military to go after the Mexican drug cartels. They are killing our people. And the story...
You're going to start a war with Mexico, Ron? You're going to start it? Can the Univision lady please call Ron DeSantis out for supporting a war against Mexico? She hasn't pushed back at all. I mean, maybe once she said one thing and it was a good burn. I think it was against Vivek. But come on, man. Okay, Ron DeSantis literally just advocated for literally bombing Mexico, dude, for fucking bombing Mexico with drones, presumably. Can the Univision host push back?
That I've seen.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Vivek really heavily featured on TikTok?
And apparently the people that had rented it before were using drugs. The the toddler was crawling on the carpet and ingested fentanyl residue.
So that's why you're going to start a war with Mexico, huh? You're going to bomb Mexico. You're going to bomb Mexican cartels in Mexico, huh? That's why. Because a baby got exposed to fentanyl, huh?
Wow, dog, that's the kind of fucking geopolitical, strategy that is really going to make the Republicans really formidable on the fucking world stage, man. You better watch out for these guys. They're going to start a war with a fucking border country because a baby got exposed to fentanyl because of some story. Come on, man. This is insane. This is actually bananas.
And died. Are we just going to sit here and let this happen, this carnage happen in our country? I am not going to do that. So I guarantee you on day one, this border is going to be a day one issue for me as president. We're going to declare it a national emergency. Yes, we'll build the wall. We'll do remain in Mexico. But those Mexican drug cartels are going to be treated like the foreign terrorist organizations that they are.
All right, Vice President Pence, we're going to move on.
We're gonna move on. He just declared war against Mexico. We're gonna move on, guys. This potential U.S. president who wants to bomb Mexico. I mean, are we going to talk about whether the Mexican president wants the United States to bomb their country? Because that was a big question. That's funny. This is like giving me fucking flashbacks to Obama when he was talking about how he was willing to bomb Afghanistan during the debates without permission. He basically was asked, if the Afghanistan government disagrees with you, would you still do it? Oh, yep, I sure would. Yep, that was the day when I dropped my support for Obama. Look it up. I think it was the second Democratic debate, when the Obama thing first started happening. I think it was the second one. And I said, well, there you go. Maybe it was against Pakistan or something. But he was basically asked, do you respect another country's sovereignty in context of attacking them? And no, I'd attack them if I need. All right, anyway, let's get back to it. Sorry.
In decades. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to make sure we catch our kids back up. We have to make sure they can read. A child that can't read by third grade is 4 times less likely to graduate high school. We need to do reading remediation. We need complete transparency in the classroom. No parent should ever wonder what's being said or taught to their child in the classroom. We need to make sure that we have school choice so that there's competition. We need to move all the programs from the federal government down to the states and let states decide what education looks like in their states. Right. And we need to start building
choice, aka privatization, aka a big race to the bottom, and some fat cat gets a big paycheck. That's what she's talking about.
Things in America again. Let's put vocational classes back in our high schools, and let's get our kids building the things that we know that we can make. When we start to focus on that and really bring in that parental involvement, that's when we'll start to see a difference. But we've got to get parents back included. We've got to quit spending.
Because that's what a 9 to 5 parent wants, right? Is to have to spend more time at school because it's no longer adequate, right? Now we got to get the parents involved. Look, and I do think parents should be involved in school. I got a kid, I'll be involved. But goddamn, man, you think these overworked, underpaid Americans, that's what they want? They want to spend more time at their kids' high school?
Time on this DEI and CRT, and instead focus on financial literacy, on digital literacy, and on making sure that our kids know what they need to do to have the jobs of the next generation.
On the subject of education, a question for Governor Christie. Students in your state are getting high marks on their report cards, but minorities are not doing well with math and reading. Black and Hispanic students averaging 29 points lower than white students in New Jersey. Would you address minorities first?
You have to address all students. And look, in our state, Stuart, frankly, before I was governor, that gap was close to 50%. And what we did was institute more charter schools and more Renaissance schools and more public school choice in New Jersey with innovative solutions in cities like Camden, where now we took what was the worst school district in America during my time, and we have now increased that by nearly 40% in terms of their proficiency. It can be done when you give people choice. But let's tell the truth to everybody about what this is. This public school system is no longer run by the public. It is run by the teachers' unions in this country. Randy Weingarten and her crew.
Got to crush that teachers' union, right? Teachers.
are absolutely strangling. They are taking the worst of their members and defending them rather than advocating for our kids. And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance that you could take the stranglehold away from the teachers union every day. They have an advocate inside the White House every day for the worst of their teachers, not for our students to be the best they can be. A President of the United States has to take on the teachers union. I did it in New Jersey, and I will do it as President of the United States.
Governor DeSantis, I have a question for you. Governor DeSantis, I have a question for you. Florida's new Black History curriculum says, quote, slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it. But many are still hurt.
I didn't say that.
For descendants of slaves, this is personal. What is your message to them?
So first of all, that's a hoax that was perpetrated by Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I didn't say
we are not going to be doing that. Second of all, that was written by descendants of slaves. These are great Black history scholars, so we need to stop playing these games. Here's the deal. Our country's education system is in decline because it's focused on indoctrination, denying parents' rights. Florida represents the revival of American education. We're ranked #1 in the nation in education by U.S. News and World Report. My wife and I, we have a 6, 5, and 3-year-old. This is personal to us. We didn't just talk about universal school choice. We enacted universal school choice. We didn't just talk about parents' bill of rights.
The privatization of school being turned into choice, because you don't get a choice when they privatize the schools. You get shit and shit light, right? You got to pay a little bit more. But like I said, it's a big race to the bottom. It's not choice.
Rights. We enacted the Parents' Bill of Rights. We eliminated
like school should be like fast food. Oh, do I want Burger King or I want McDonald's? Yeah. Oh, that's what the debate is about. Come on, man.
Critical race theory, and we now have American civics and the Constitution
in our schools in
a really big way, just like President Reagan asked for in his farewell address back in 1989. Florida is showing how it's done. We're standing with parents, and our kids are benefiting.
There's no CRT in high school.
What is your message for Governor DeSantis?
There is not a redeeming quality in slavery. He and Kamala should have just taken the one sentence out. America has suffered because of slavery, but we've overcome that. We are the greatest nation on earth because we faced our demons in the mirror and made a decision. So often we think that all the issues, you talk about crime and education and healthcare, we always think that those issues go back to slavery. Here's the challenge though. Black families survived slavery. We survived poll taxes and literacy tests. We survived discrimination being woven into the laws of our country. What was hard to survive was Johnson's Great Society, where they decided to put money, where they decided to take the black father out of the household to get a check in the mail, and you can now measure that in unemployment, in crime, in devastation. If you want to restore hope, you've got to restore the family, restore capitalism, and put Americans back at work together as one American family. Our nation continues to go in the right direction.
They're really pushing him, dude.
I can say
they're giving him a lot of time.
I have been discriminated against, but America is not a racist country. Never, ever doubt who we are. We are the greatest country on God's green earth. And frankly, the city on the hill
fixed racism.
Needs a brand new leader. And I'm asking for your vote.
I'm going to have a question for you, Mr. Ramaswamy. Over 10.7 million students in over 18,000 public schools nationwide have the ability to change their identity without parental notification. Governor Christie told Stewart last week that he would pass a federal law to protect.
Yeah, fuck the rights of kids, man. Fuck them. Fuck that shit. I have a right as a parent to make my child into whatever sex I desire. Oh, you telling me you're gay? You're not gay. I'm the parent. You're not allowed to be gay. I voted for Vivek Ramaswamy, who said being gay is illegal. So you're not gay. How do you like that? I didn't have a gay son.
Parental rights. Would you try to do the same?
Yeah.
I have to be very clear about this.
Yeah.
Transgenderism, especially in kids, is a mental health disorder. We have to acknowledge the truth of that for what it is. I met 2 young women early in this campaign.
Specifically on parental rights in schools.
Parents have the right to know. And you know what the hypocrisy of this is?
I mean, I do agree parents have the right to know, but parents don't have the right to choose the gender. That's not how it works. You think a gay kid chooses to be gay? It's not how it works. It's not a fucking choice. And yeah, there's experimentation, there's phases, and I don't think there definitely should be age limits on permanent surgery and hormones and all that shit, depending on what the doctor says. There's got to be rules. I don't agree with the people that says that just let a kid do whatever the hell they want whenever they want. I'm not saying that, but yeah, no, little Billy or little Sally, they don't get to choose whether they're gay or trans. It's mental health. No, man. And how insulting is that? You have people who are trying to live their lives being told by grifters, "Oh, you're just mentally ill. You're not a trans. You don't have a trans identity. You're literally mentally ill." Man, I mean, we've had trans people since fucking human beings have existed. I was just watching a Sherlock Holmes produced in the 1960s. Where the whole, and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle over here talking about a men's only club where there was a transvestite on stage singing. Shit's been happening since since way back when, since Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's days. Oh no, it's mental health. It's mental health, and that's what his solution to the mental health crisis is. So if we discriminate against LGBTQ people, I guess somehow that's going to fix the mental health crisis that we're experiencing, because we do have a mental health crisis. A big part of it's on the right. They're shooting up our schools and shooting up our churches and shooting up our grocery stores. Big mental health crisis. No, let's go after the LGBTQ people.
New Hampshire failed to actually get past a piece.
All right, and with that comment, with Jadox's incredibly sexist comment, goodbye. I mean, goodbye. I mean, what am I'm supposed to sit here and let this man claim that LGBTQ people don't exist in my chat? I don't think so. You're gone, Jadox. Bye-bye.
Of legislation here, the very people who say that this increases the risk of suicide are also the ones saying that parents don't have the right to know about that increased risk of suicide. And I'm sorry, it is not compassionate to affirm a kid's confusion. That is not.
No, I'm okay with a parent getting notified about those things. I'm fine, but I do think the parent shouldn't be able to come in and say, no, you can't speak to anybody about this. You're not what you are. You're not even able to contemplate what you are. You are what I say you are. That doesn't. Not only is it a bad idea, it doesn't fucking work. Has that mentality eliminated trans and gay people? Are they gone? Are they gone because we convinced them that they're gone? No, they're always going to be here. We need to have discussions about it. But I'm okay with parents getting notified about stuff like that. Yeah.
Compassion that is cruelty. I met 2 young women, Chloe and Katie, early in this campaign, who are in their 20s, now regret getting double mastectomies and a hysterectomy. One of them will never have children. Yeah. And the fact that we allowed that to happen in this country is barbaric. So I will ban genital mutilation or chemical castration under the age of 18, and parents have absolutely the right.
Would you try to pass a federal law that says parents should have that right?
We are going to require states absolutely have to follow that through.
Burgum, just to follow up on this, because you in your state, you do not have a law that says parents can't be notified, but you want to be president. Would you try
what is the percentage of LGBTQ people in this country? Is it even 2%?
We've been talking about issues about how it's broken in Washington, and I respect all of the people on the stage here for their 100+ years of public service. Thank you. But the reason why we're not talking about education or health care or safety being a problem in North Dakota is because we have a business leader. I've got more experience as a business leader than I think this whole group combined. I know I've created more jobs than everybody else on stage, thousands of high-paying jobs that have real meaning.
LGBTQ
so as a business
people.
leader, you come in and you treat the taxpayer like a customer. So in North Dakota, instead of fighting
Holy fucking whoa. Wow, 7.1? Okay, wow. All right. That's actually more than I expected.
With the teachers unions, we actually created a K-12 coordinating council. Everybody gets in the room and the customer is the student.
But you do understand that this is an issue that
And the customers, this man is a nightmare.
many people in America really are concerned about, worried about parents and notification in schools.
Yes, and that's why we have 50 platforms of innovation. That's why we have states. There are certain things.
What? This guy doesn't. Is this guy? It's like he's desynced. He's not answering. He's not answering as if. What?
The federal government is supposed to do. It's not the Department of Education that needs to be assembled. We got to move it back to states. Do what we did in North Dakota. Instead of like, oh, here's a choice school and here's an old school, the old way with the teachers union, the kids are trapped. We made every school in North Dakota an innovation school. Every school got out from under the red tape, and the things that help teach the values that we're trying to get, like 4-H, like FFA, like Boy Scouts, they can get credit for all of that stuff in North Dakota.
Okay, so remove that liberal indoctrination and replace it with right-wing indoctrination. Okay.
And by the way, North Dakota is now at the top of the median SAT scores in the country right now.
Vice President Pence, the Department of Homeland Security warns that violence against LGBTQ+ people is on the rise and intensifying. According to a recent study, members of that community are 9 times more likely to be victims of violent hate crimes. As president, how would you protect this community from violent attacks and discrimination?
This ought to be really
good. As President of the United States, I'll stand up for the safety and the civil liberties of every American, from every,
unless you're LGBTQ, of course,
every background. And I want
or an illegal immigrant,
the American people to know that,
or a woman that wants to have control over uterus.
But I want to answer the question as well, Dana, that you just asked Doug Burgum, because by way of full disclosure, Chris, you mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And full disclosure,
dog.
Look, education is a state and local function. The state of Indiana had one of the very first school choice programs in the country. And when I was governor of the state of Indiana, we doubled it. And as to your question, Dana, let's be very, very clear. When the Linn-Mar Community Schools in Iowa had a policy where you had to have a permission slip from your parents to get a Tylenol, but you could get a gender transition plan without notifying your parents.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. What the fuck is he talking about?
Weighed in with a foundation. That's not bad policy. That's crazy. We're going to stand up for the rights of parents.
With a gender transition plan, I got to see some proof to this.
And we're going to pass a federal ban on transgender chemical or...
It was probably a pamphlet that was like, explaining what being, LGBTQ means or something. A pamphlet. Come on, man.
Surgical surgery anywhere in the country. We've got to protect our kids from this radical gender ideology agenda, and we've got.
I mean, they make it sound like the kid can just totally in private get surgery on their genitals and start taking hormones without any consultation whatsoever. Meanwhile, reality is nowhere close to that. There's all kinds of consultation. There's all kinds of rules. It's not just, they make it sound like it's just gender anarchy, right? Oh, your kids are going to be as gay as shit. They're all going to be gay. It is like, I mean, honestly, 7% of the population are trans. It's actually really high. I'm actually really surprised by that. But it's just like, kitchen table issues.
To empower parents at the state level with the ability to choose where their kids go to school, whether it's public, private, parochial, or homeschool. You empower parents, and our schools will straighten up and reflect our values and focus on the basics faster than you could possibly imagine.
Next subjects.
Can I just say one thing?
China is investing. If you talk over everybody, we lose time. China is investing
get him, Vardy! Yeah!
heavily in their tech companies. $280 billion every year on semiconductor research and development. That is 1 CHIPS Act per year. Governor DeSantis, you say companies like Google and Meta have too much power. Doesn't going after them give China an edge?
No, I think you look at how our societies develop. They have huge amount of power over our society. They've cracked down on free speech. We're not saying you don't want them to do business, but you want it to be a free market. And right now they're monopolies. But this issue of China, I think, is really going to be fundamental. We have subcontracted out so much of our national needs to the CCP. We rely on them for a whole host of issues. We need to reshore and we need to decouple all those important industries. We need to get that back in the United States. They are our top geopolitical adversary by a country mile. Xi Jinping's got huge ambitions, not only in the Asia Pacific, but as you mentioned earlier.
Not going to mention Russia, are they? That's a little awkward for them, huh?
In our region.
Going to mention that big ally of China there? No, that you guys, basically vehemently support every single day. Putin should win. I don't know. Putin should win. I can't believe Zelensky's even fighting back. What an asshole.
But ultimately, we've got to beat him on the economy.
China, guys.
And so that's what we'll do as president of the United States.
Go Russia.
Governor Christie, I wanted to follow up on this because 22% of American workers fear their jobs will be lost to a robot. And you said in the past that the free market is the way to go. Would you retrain workers who lose a job to artificial intelligence, and to do what?
Well, look, what I think artificial intelligence offers us is an
that you love. They just don't answer the question. What are you going to do about the millions of people out of work that are going to be replaced by AI? Well, I think AI is really great.
Extraordinary opportunity to expand
what
well
an opportunity.
Beyond the productivity that we have now.
Yeah. Imagine the productivity. Millions of people out of work. Well, have you thought about the productivity?
To have Americans be able to be involved in that revolution, Dana. Each time we have shown incredible innovation and progress in this country. What we've done with it is to expand all kinds of new, even unthought of opportunities for folks. Yes, we have to do retraining for folks who lose some of their jobs.
So you were asked specifically, what are you going to do for the people put out of work? And you're like, we'll figure something out.
And we should be doing that. And we should have more training available both at the county college level and the local level for people to be able to access it. So yes, I would be in favor of that. But this is a much bigger issue than that.
In favor of what? AI taking the jobs of millions of Americans?
We can't be afraid of innovation. America has been the great innovator of this world over the last 250 years, a technological innovator, a manufacturing innovator, and a freedom and governmental innovator. And that's why America has to continue to stand strong in the world, pro-innovation, pro-progress. And
so fuck America's job, fuck American jobs. Okay, cool. Wow, what a great policy, Christie. Can't wait to vote for you. I support AI fucking you over, American. Please vote for me.
I will tell you this. As President of the United States, what I will do is to make sure that every innovator in this country gets the government the hell off its back and out of its pocket. So that
so not only that, but you're going to remove any kind of government regulations we try to keep to try to help people keep their job. Once AI starts removing thousands and thousands of jobs, right, and like the government desperately steps in, Chris Christie's going to make sure that that doesn't happen. That your job is not secure. That a corporate entity can fucking hire a robot to replace you en masse, and that's a good thing. That's innovation, folks.
That it can innovate and bring great new inventions to our country that will make everybody's lives better.
Yeah.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
Wow.
TikTok is banned on government-issued devices because of its ties to the Chinese government. Yet you joined TikTok after dinner with boxer and influencer Jake Paul. Should the commander-in-chief be so easily persuaded by an influencer?
God,
so
that's
the answer
embarrassing.
is I have a radical idea for the Republican Party. We need to win elections. And part of how we win elections is reaching the next generation of young Americans where they are. So when I get into office, I've been very clear. Kids under the age of 16 should not be using addictive social media.
Doesn't he want to raise the voting age to 24 as well? So they're going to lose their favorite thing in the world, fucking social media, if they vote for you. And they're going to lose the right to vote as well. Cool. Wow, man. Zoomers lining up.
We're only going to ever get to declaring independence from China, which I favor, if we actually win. So while the Democrats are running rampant, reaching the next generation 3-1, there's exactly one person in the Republican Party which talks a big game about reaching young people, and that's me. And let me level with all of you. I'm the new guy here, and so I know I have to earn your trust. What do you see? You see a young man who's in a bit of a hurry, maybe a little ambitious, bit of a know-it-all, it seems at times. I'm here to tell you, no, I don't know it all. I will listen. I will have the best people, the best and brightest in this country, whatever age they are, advising me. We will be probably many of the people on this stage included. That's how I built my companies. I want to be challenged. I want people who disagree with me. That's what makes America great, because we're not a perfect nation. We're founded on the pursuit of perfection. That is what makes America great. And that is why we will end it once we win this election.
I have to jump. I have to jump in here. I'm sorry.
Was speaking.
There's one person on this.
This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say. Because I can't believe that here you've got a TikTok situation. What they're doing is these 150 million people are on TikTok. That means they can get your contacts, they can get your financial information, they can get your emails, they can get text messages, they can get all of these things.
This is very important for our party.
What they're
this
doing.
is very important for our party, and I'm going to say
you've gone and you've helped China make
Nikki isn't going to let him do this. Yeah, no, he's floundering. Nikki isn't going to let you walk all over. She did this last time as well. Yeah, this is great.
This is in China, not America. You're now wanting kids to go and get on the social media that's dangerous for all of us. You went, you were in business with the Chinese that gave Hunter Biden $5 million. We can't trust you.
I'm letting you speak. I'm letting you speak.
I think that this is very important.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 15 seconds.
I think, excuse me.
Software.
15 seconds.
That fucking guy still talking about election software. Holy shit, dude. Wow. Read the room, dude. Wow.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
Thank you. I think we would be better served as a Republican Party if we're not sitting here hurling personal insults and actually have a legitimate debate about politics.
He wants to ban social media while at the same time advocating for him reaching out to young people using social fucking media. Wow, dog. Wow.
Following Reagan's 11th commandment in his honor.
Wow.
And the answer is, that is what actually makes our country strong. And I believe in these people. These are good people on the stage. They disagree, but let's have a legitimate disagreement. That's what I would say.
Stuart, can we get back to the question? The question was on technology.
Governor DeSantis, I'm going straight.
No, we can't. Shut the hell up.
We will have to cut your mic, and I don't want to do
software.
that. I don't. So, Governor DeSantis, let me go to you. Experts say President Putin has ordered assassinations across Europe, cheated on arms control treaties with the U.S., and seeks to work with China to force our decline. President Reagan believed that if you want to prevent a war, you better be prepared to fight one. Today, the Republican Party is at odds over aid to Ukraine. The price tag so far is $76 billion.
I'm a family man.
Is it in our best interest to degrade Russia's military for less than 5% of what we pay annually on defense, especially when there are no U.S. soldiers in the fight?
It's in our interest to end this war, and that's what I will do as president.
Yeah.
We are not going to have a blank check. We will not have U.S. troops, and we're going to make the Europeans do what they need to do. But they've sent money to pay bureaucrats' pensions and salaries and funding small businesses halfway around the world. Meanwhile, our own country is being invaded. We don't even have control of our own territory. We have got to defend the American people before we even worry about all these other things. And I watch these guys in Washington, D.C., and they don't care about the American people. They don't care about the fentanyl deaths. They don't care about the communities being overrun because of this border. They don't care about the Mexican drug cartels. So as Commander-in-Chief, I will defend this country's sovereignty.
So you're gonna stop supporting Ukraine, but you're gonna start a full-blown war with Mexico. And I bet you he struts around talking about how he's the anti-war. They're the anti-war party. Wow, man, it's crazy.
But it's not a terror.
How do they? You can't keep track.
It's never been a territorial dispute.
And 90% of the resources that we send over to Ukraine is guaranteed. It's a loan. It is not 90% of the money that we send over there is loan. Well, we can talk about this, but at the end of the day, 90% of the money that we send over there is actually in the form of a loan. It's not actually not be paid by Ukraine. It's paid by the NATO, our NATO allies.
So I think it's a good topic.
I think it's a really good topic.
Wow, Tim Scott over here. That's actually a really great point.
I will say let's debate the fact that our national vital interest is in degrading the Russian military. By degrading the Russian military, we actually keep our homeland safer, we keep our troops at home, and we all understand Article 5 of NATO.
We have to level with the American people.
I thought you said something about waiting until your turn to talk. So hold on. So at the end of the day, I'm going to finish my. I'll be happy to debate this.
I'll respond.
I'll look forward to this one right now. So at the end of the day, when you think about the fact that if you want to keep American troops at home, an attack on NATO territory would bring us and our troops in. By degrading the Russian military, we reduce, if not eliminate, an attack on NATO territory.
Finish that exchange. We have to level with the American people. We have to level with the American people on this issue. The reality is just because Putin's an evil dictator does not mean that Ukraine is good. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties.
A win
that has
for Russia is a
that
win
is not
for
true.
China.
We're driving
a win
Russia.
For Russia
excuse
is
me.
a win for China.
Excuse me, Nick. You'll have your chance.
I forgot you like China. That's why you'll
have your chance in just a moment. The hurling personal insults
I'll let you
isn't helping.
speak. I'll let you
China
speak.
is the real enemy, and we're driving Russia further into China's arms. We need a reasonable peace.
This canard once again that if we let Russia win in its fucking invasion, that will somehow splinter the relationship with Russia and China. If once we let Russia win and take Ukraine, guys, it's going to split that relationship. You know why? Because Putin, this is the theory from this man, because Putin is going to, in Russia, the Russian government is going to be so grateful and thankful that we let them invade and take over Ukraine that it's going to start a fracture in relationships between China and Russia, man. What the fuck is he talking about, dude? I mean, it's out of left field. No one is saying this. No one is saying this, dude. When you talk about the possibilities on the table, this is not one of them.
Plan to end this, especially this is a country whose president just last week was hailing
you let
Nazi
Putin have Ukraine, that's a green light to China to take Taiwan.
Exactly.
Peace comes through strength.
It's so bizarre because this is such a slam dunk for the fucking right-wing Republicans. You remember the Bush administration? This is such a slam dunk for Republicans, and they're totally avoiding it because it's also a win for Biden, and they just can't hack it. They just can't find a good reason. So just get behind the fucking support for Ukraine and shut the fuck up, man. Come on. It's such a slam dunk geopolitically. I mean, there's nothing you can fucking say that could like really give you a good excuse as to why Russia should be allowed to invade Ukraine unimpeded.
Reasonable plan to peace.
Governor Christie.
The Communist Party of China is the real enemy.
Governor Christie. President
fucking
Biden's first 2 years have brought China, Russia, and Iran closer together. Are we focused too much on Ukraine and not enough on this threat from the New World Order?
No, they're all connected, Stuart.
What?
They're all connected. The Chinese are paying for the Russian war in Ukraine. The Iranians are supplying more sophisticated weapons, and so are the North Koreans now as well, with the encouragement of the Chinese. The naivete on this stage from some of these folks is extraordinary. Look, I understand people want to go and talk to Putin. Guess what? So did George W. Bush. So did Barack Obama. So did Donald Trump. And so did Joe Biden when he said a small invasion wouldn't be so bad. Every one of them has been wrong.
Damn, Christie.
And the fact of the matter is, we need to say right now that the Chinese-Russian alliance is something we have to fight against, and we are not going to solve it by going over and cuddling up to Vladimir Putin. Look, Donald Trump said Vladimir Putin was brilliant and a great leader. This is the person who is murdering people in his own country, and now not having enough blood, he's now going to Ukraine to murder innocent civilians and kidnap 20,000 children.
It's
and
a
let me tell
slam
you,
dunk.
if you think that's where it's going to stop, If we give him any of Ukraine, next will be Poland. This is a guy who said, this is a guy in 1991 who said that was the darkest moment in world history when the Soviet Union fell. Listen, everybody, he wants to put the old band back together, and only America can stop it. And when I'm president, we will.
Governor Burgum, I want to get to
It's a
Governor
slam
Burgum.
dunk politically.
I have a question I think you're going to really like, or at least you have experience in it. And we need to talk about America's farmers because there is a foreign policy connection here. The U.S. and China are in this fierce economic competition. It's hurting American businesses, and there is blowback against American farmers because China then targets them in retaliation. How would you, as president, protect American farmers and ranchers from that kind of retaliation from a foreign government like China?
Well, first of all, we've got the best farmers and ranchers in the world right here in America. If they have a level playing field, they can outcompete anyone in the world. But this is part of the larger issue that we're talking about here, which
They need
is
immigrants
we're in a cold
to
war
do
with
their
China.
job.
The Biden administration won't admit that. But we're all
the entire system depends on low-cost immigration, low-cost wages from immigrants. Okay.
So in a economic war through
They're all
what we're doing
carrying
with
fentanyl.
agriculture and energy, and we're also in a war with them relative to cyber war. We get attacked every day in North Dakota, every state, every school district, our tribes, all being attacked every day by either China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea.
Tribes?
And now we've got a Biden administration whose whole policy is appeasement. They're out there, creating the world, making it less safe. $6 billion they traded for 5 people. They've just now set a price on anyone's head who's a tourist from America, who's a student from America, for kidnapping. If you want more kidnapping, put a price on it. And then they're also helping Iran get to have more closer to nuclear weapon, which pushes all of the Middle East closer to China and Russia. The whole thing is absurd. And then, of course, we're going to give Ukraine to Russia, and then we're going to give Taiwan to China, and think that's a foreign policy. That will make our nation less successful, make us more poor. And at the core of all that is energy policy, because China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day. They're the largest import in the world, and we've had 4 cabinet members from the Biden administration there this summer, and none of them talked about U.S. energy. The first one to go to each of those countries was Kerry, to talk about the folly of the climate policy, which is making the world less stable. It's empowering dictators. It's not about climate change that we need worried about. It's about the Biden climate policies that are actually the existential threat to America's future.
Okay, thanks.
Governor Haley, Mexico's president called
homeless, exactly,
sending U.S. military into the country, quote, scoundrels. Mexico is the United States' most important trade partner and border security. You say you will send special operations to attack the cartels in Mexico. So, this means boots on the ground, drone strikes?
It means special operations. It's how we deal with our terrorists. And what you need to do is understand that Mexico's not.
We lost the Iraq war. We lost the Afghanistan war. Just thought I'd remind everybody.
Not being a good partner if we lost 75,000 Americans last year. Mexico's not being a good partner if they're letting the cartels get away with what they're getting away with. What we will do is we will make sure that we send in our special operations, and we will take out the cartels, we'll take out their operations, we'll take out anything that's doing it. But we're going to go after China, because China is the one sending the fentanyl in the first place. And we will end all normal trade relations until China stops sending fentanyl. And then we'll do the special operations, and we'll get it from both sides. This is where President Trump went wrong. He focused on trade with China. He didn't focus on the fact that they were buying up our farmland. He didn't focus on the fact that they were killing Americans. He didn't focus on the fact that they were stealing $600 billion in intellectual property. He didn't focus on the fact that they put a spy base off our shores in Cuba. They didn't focus enough on the fact that all of our law enforcement drones in America are Chinese, and we've got all these little surveillance cells. We need to start focusing on what keeps Americans safe. That hasn't happened in a long time. As your president, I will make sure every American is safe, and we'll do whatever it takes to make that happen.
All right.
I mean, yeah, she's, Duckman,
Want to get to Senator Scott.
Yep, I agree.
You're all auditioning for the job as president of the United States. You want to earn these votes.
Vice President.
But the world's problems land in the Oval Office. During the presidential debates in the year 2000, neither Al Gore nor George W. Bush was asked about al-Qaeda. Yet, just 1 year later, al-Qaeda's attack on September 11th claimed nearly 3,000 lives. And the farther we get from September 11th, the closer we are to September 10th. Senator Scott, you have no executive branch experience. What has prepared you to protect the nation from a major man-made national security crisis?
Well, one of the things I've had the good fortune of doing is serving on committees in the United States Senate, like the Senate Armed Services Committee. I'm on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, also on the Finance Committee and the Banking Committee. Talk about addressing the issue of fentanyl. I've written the legislation, passed it through the Banking Committee and the Senate that would freeze the assets and sanction the accounts of the Mexican cartels. There are weapons that we have within the arsenal that I was able to get past 23-0 in the polarizing Senate as it is. I've also understood without question the fact that if you look at the details before 9/11, there was information and intelligence that was available that suggested an attack was coming. Having the right intelligence partners with us is key to making sure that we prevent the next 9/11 from ever happening. Having that experience for the last 10 years is really important in getting the job done.
30 seconds to you, Mr. Pence.
Well, I think you asked a question about executive experience. I think it's vitally important. And I stand before you today as a candidate for president because I think this country's in a lot of trouble. And you hear the fire on the stage tonight. You hear the fire in all of our voices. And it's because Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. This is a time for those of us that have the experience, the tested experience, and a commitment to the conservative agenda that Ronald Reagan brought forward in this party of a strong national defense, standing with our allies, standing up to our enemies, supporting limited government and traditional values, need to step forward.
Understood.
Because, frankly, our party does face a time for choosing, as they said at the top of this debate, whether we're going to stand on the foundation of that conservative agenda that Ronald Reagan poured, or whether we're going to follow the siren song of populism on more of the conservative principles. I'm the most experienced, most qualified, and most consistent conservative in this field, and I'm ready to lead America at home and abroad on day one.
Time for choosing to go to a break. Ilya.
We need to go to a commercial break. Reagan built a coalition that lasted decades. Can any of these candidates...
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see where we're at here.
History or civics. And
okay, he's already. Oh shit! Hold on. Where's he at? Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Yeah, I couldn't. That was super loud. Well, good. Woke your asses up. No one chatting. I got to remove that. It is way too abrasive. I got to get that off my. Okay, I don't think we're not that far behind. We're only like 5 minutes behind, it looks like. Yeah, we're only about 5 minutes behind. Ain't bad. I guess I should comment on this. Yeah, you know you are. No, I don't, it's once again, it's just lies. It's so hard to, and I guess I shouldn't even try. This guy's not even trying, right, to debunk all the bullshit that they're saying, to point out their hypocrisies and point out their lies and their half-truths, and because it's not about, it's so weird. It's none of this is about what they're saying. They're not going to do anything that they say unless it's the tax cuts and the and the stuff that the bad stuff that they've convinced people is good. Right. I mean, they're not going to, Nikki Haley, none of these people are going to start a war with Mexico. They're not going to bomb the cartels. They know they're not going to bomb the cartels. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd to think that these people are going to bomb Mexico. I mean, just, you know what I mean? It seems it's so overwhelming, the absurd things that they say. All of the absurd things that they say, it's exhausting. It's tiring. It's just nonstop. And it's working. Look at the poll. Look at the Trump and Biden neck and neck. It's working. This beast has created this, and there's no stopping it. It's so weird. It's weird though, because there's this contradiction. They want the fascist dictatorship. They want that. but they don't want it overt. They want it subtle. You know? All right, let's just skip this. Let's just get right back to the debate. Skip this fucking commercial break. We're on the whole debate thing, but really, yeah, no, I did read about that.
Primary debate
right,
here at the Reagan Library. We've got a lot more issues to cover and a lot more questions to go. So let's dive right back in.
All right. I'm going to stop pausing. I want to get through
this.
this.
Gas is nearing $6 a gallon. Oil is close to $100 a barrel again. You say, drill, baby, drill. But the courts won't let you. Mr. Ramaswamy, how would you bring down prices without immediate drilling?
Well, look, I think that we do have to run through the courts and get through that administrative state to make sure we're using the natural resources here at home. But here's the other thing that we can do.
We'll be covering that this Saturday for sure, DCH.
And it addresses the national debt as well as brings down prices. Put people back to work. We are using taxpayer money to pay people more to stay at home than to go to work. That is wrong. That
so cut welfare and that'll make people desperate for slave wages and then they'll get back to work? Okay.
Contributes to our supply chain crisis. It contributes to inflation. That's the easiest way to unlock this economy. And here's the other thing. We have to put the Federal Reserve back in its place. This is an agency that has gone rogue. So in January 2026, when I have the opportunity as our next commander-in-chief, we will have a new chairman of the Federal Reserve who places priority on dollar stability and then, most importantly, send packing 75% of the administrative state, reduce the federal employee headcount by 75%, rescind 50% of unconstitutional federal regulations that are shackling businesses both large and small. I've offered a very clear, practical plan to do it. That's how we unleash the economy. That's how we revive the integrity of a three-branch constitutional republic rather than this technocracy and aristocracy in the administrative state.
Response, please.
I think one of the signature accomplishments of our administration was in just a few short years. We achieved energy independence. We became a net exporter of energy for the first time in 75 years. But on day one, Joe Biden declared a war on energy, which was no surprise because when Joe Biden ran for president, he said he was going to end fossil fuels. And they've been working overtime to do that ever since. If I'm president of the United States, we're going to open up federal lands. We're going to unleash fossil fuels. American energy. We're going to have an all-of-the-above energy strategy. And I have a plan that actually would not only reclaim energy independence, but in 2006, America lost our position as the leading energy producer on Earth. I believe in the next 10 years, with the right policies and experienced leadership in the White House, we can reclaim our role as the leading energy producer on Earth, and that'll grow the American economy for generations to come.
Governor Haley, reaction to that, please.
As the only person who's leading an energy state, could I answer the energy question?
No, Governor Haley.
No.
So, the first thing I'll say is what I saw at the United Nations is energy security is national security. We need a president that understands we have to partner with our producers and make sure that we have their backs. What you don't need is a president who is against energy independence. Ron DeSantis is against fracking. He's against drilling. He's been against. You did it. He always talks about what happens on day one. You better watch out, because what happens on day two is when you're in trouble. Day two in Florida, you banned fracking, you banned offshore drilling, you did it on federal lands, and you took green subsidies that you didn't have to take.
Governor DeSantis, you were mentioned you have the right to respond.
And thank you to the folks that are sticking around here. Thank you, Homeless and DCH and everyone else that's still listening. It's so hilarious, right? These are great things. He's doing it to protect his state. And he's like, no, I didn't. I raped my state. I completely exploited everything. We're fracking away. We love fracking.
On 30 seconds.
Yeah, they know the truth about fracking and what it does to the fucking drinking water, etc.
We're going to choose Midland over Moscow. We're going to choose the Marcellus over the Mullahs, and we're going to choose Bakken over Beijing.
Yeah, it's just
exhausting. And we are going to lower your gas prices. We are going to get that job done because it's important for our national security. It's important for jobs, and that's one of the best ways to drive down inflation.
Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis is.
So let me only answer that because this is ridiculous.
DeSantis, this question is for you.
Our voters enacted a constitutional amendment.
You banned it before they
doesn't
voted.
Allow. No, it's not true.
You banned it before they voted,
Nikki,
and not only that, fracking wasn't. They didn't vote on fracking.
She's just totally wrong. They voted it in. That's what we did. Onshore, we do it in Florida. We don't have as much as maybe West Texas.
I believe Nikki because they just bald-faced deny reality. You know, we got Vivek during the last debate. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
But we do it. But that was a
yes, you did.
So that's just wrong. And let's just get real here. My plan
I believe
will
Nikki
get the
on this
job
one.
done.
I bet
we
you.
are going to be energy dominant, and that's what's going to happen.
And the voters didn't even vote on fracking.
But it's so funny that this is a bad thing. Like, what are you talking about? This is great. Fracking is horrific. Fracking is shit, dude. It fucks up your water table. It's terrible.
We are moving on with this question for Governor DeSantis.
All the chemicals used. It's insane.
Excuse me. We cannot talk over each other. We must
every
respect
time.
each other's time.
They all do it. They all get away with it.
I'm ready, Stuart.
Governor DeSantis,
She's
this
right,
is your question. The Biden administration is hell-bent on student loan forgiveness, but you say colleges should be.
They know what the truth is. They know what reality is, and when it fucking benefits them, they're happy to trot it out. They know. That's why every fucking person that supports Republicans and supports conservatives in the modern era are complicit in this fascist dictatorship that they're installing, because they're all complicit in it. They're all part of this grand experiment to destroy democracy. Basically, maybe, I think, honestly, people like Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes just want to see what will happen. They're nihilists, and they're frightening, and I can't believe they're winning.
On the hook when graduates cannot pay their debt. How does that address the cost of college? The cost of college itself?
Because the colleges are going to have to make a decision. Do we expand the gender studies department, knowing some of those graduates may not have great learning opportunities? No, they're going to focus on the things that really matter. They're going to make different choices. They're going to try to graduate people in 4 years. I also just want to come back to something Dana asked last segment about 9/11, because I was just at the 9/11 memorial with the families. My wife and I were invited. It's very touching to be there, and it affected my life because I ended up joining the military, Florida, and that is not coming back on the plane from Iraq, landing in Coronado, California.
This man was a torturer at Abu Ghraib. Look it up. Ron DeSantis tortured individuals at Abu Ghraib.
North Island, and feeling that breeze off the Pacific Ocean and say, you know what? I am lucky to have been born an American, and I think being able to serve, and I'll be the first president elected since 1988 who's actually served overseas in a war. I think that's going to help me as commander-in-chief to know how you see these issues and understand that there are real lives at stake for people that wear the uniform.
And we know that Governor Haley's husband is serving right now as well, and we thank him for that. Senator Scott, the national debt has nearly doubled in your time in office. The approval rate for Congress is at a mere 19%. If this were a business, you'd probably all be fired in Washington, but you're here tonight looking for a promotion. In 2013, Governor Haley hired you for the Senate. I'd like you to tell her why you should be promoted.
Yeah, this motherfucking, okay, a 30-year politician. I don't even live in Washington. I'm not part of the swamp. Okay, homie.
To CEO of the nation instead of her.
Certainly. One of the things I'd say is...
I'm sorry, what was the question?
For the Senate. I'd like you to tell her why you should be promoted to CEO of the nation instead of her.
Certainly. One of the things I'd say is if you look at our national debt of $33 trillion, I would love to have an opportunity to have this country pass a balanced budget amendment. That would constrain the spending in Washington in the same fashion that it does.
It would destroy the economy and the dollar would be replaced.
In every state.
Look up how finances work for countries, especially countries as large as the United States. It's actually impossible to balance the budget. Passing such a bill would be the apocalypse for the financial industry, for the financial everything, dude. The whole fucking system would go ass over tea kettle.
Our nation, number one. Number two, if you want to actually reduce our national debt, you have to grow our economy.
Kitchen table issues.
You need to create about 10 million
Walmart
jobs
gas
to grow
pumping,
our economy at 5%.
Come on, man.
You can do that in three specific sectors. Number one, the energy sector. We could create between 3 and 3.5 million jobs if we unleashed all of our energy resources. America is the most We're the richest country if you combine coal, gas, and oil. Why not unleash all of our resources? Number two, we've lost 100,000 factories. 100,000 factories in the last 25 years. If we continued on my Made in America plan.
To right-wing supported outsourcing, homie. Yeah, you fucking love outsourcing.
We could bring jobs back to America in a similar fashion that we did when I wrote the Tax Cuts and Jobs.
They want to bring jobs back. You know how they're going to do it? With by making, special zones where they can pay people like it's a third world country. It's that. Look it up. This is what they want to do. They want to make special, what do they call it? Free work zones or some shit like that, where they can basically pay you like you're in Guatemala or something.
We actually lowered the corporate tax from 35% to 21%, reshored or repatriated $1.7 trillion. We brought the unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians to the lowest level in the history of the country, and a 70-year low for women.
Governor Haley, would you think you would deserve the promotion over him?
Look, I
CEO of the country?
I appreciate Tim. We've known each other a long time, but he's been there 12 years and he hasn't done any of that. He hasn't. They've only given 4 budgets on time in 40 years. He was part of that. He increased the national debt. He voted for the spending.
You voted
he has made sure that the borders are open and they haven't done anything. Look at everything that's happened. 12 years. Where have you been? Where have you been, Tim?
I voted on most of those things.
We've waited and nothing has happened.
Here's what you've done.
Here's the thing that I just find interesting.
Ron, let me finish.
All these guys have said
here's the
things,
fact,
and I appreciate a lot of the things they're saying.
Nikki
I'm
Haley,
the only one up here who's gotten in the big fights and has delivered big victories for the people of Florida, and that's what it's all about.
You talking about that big victory over Disney?
When it gets hot in
brings
there,
it up too.
when they're shooting
that
arrows
big
at
dub
you,
on
are
Disney?
you going to be stand up for parents' rights, keep the state free? Are you going to be able to do all those things? And in the state of Florida, because of our success, the Democratic Party lies in ruins. We have won the big fights. We have turned our state into a Republican state. People
with like a nothing statement as well, homeless.
Respond to leadership.
This is fluff.
I've done it while others have talked about it.
CEO, we actually have a CEO in the White House, which is what I think we need. If I may just briefly.
Vivek is like, I'm a CEO. I'm going to run the whole country like a business.
Zero-based budgeting. That's the way businesses are actually run. Start with zero as the baseline for the budget and then see what's actually necessary. There isn't a blue state or a red state in this union that does it. The federal government doesn't do it. But successful companies, including the ones that I've built as a CEO, will do it. And I think we need a CEO in the White House to get that done.
Governor Burgum runs a state that way. Yes,
tech
go
questions,
ahead.
you didn't ask the only guy that's been in tech. You have energy questions, you don't ask anything. But I'm just going to say right now, when you say nobody else has done it, the energy plans that have all been announced in the last month by these other folks on stage, we're already doing it in North Dakota. The border plans they're already talking about, we've got troops down at the border flying helicopter missions from North Dakota, from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop transnational criminal organizations from inflicting the invasion and the mass casualties in our state. And on the energy policy, we're already doing it. And it's not saying when nobody else done the big fights. North Dakota was leading the charge. We won the battle to get the Biden administration, who was ignoring the law. They were the first administration since Truman that wasn't holding the quarterly required lease sales, and we won that in federal court. WOTUS, we won that in federal court. We're fighting the Biden administration on 20 fronts. To say that nobody's fighting the big fights, just look at the record of what we're doing right now. Energy, economy, national security, have been talking about it since day one, and now finally good, we're having the conversation about it, but we've got the answer in North Dakota.
Governor Burgum, let's talk big government. This question's for you.
Who wants to bet if we did a deep dive on North Dakota, it's a complete fucking hellhole. It's a nightmare over there. Who wants to bet? It's a big privatization fucking race to the bottom. I don't know anything about North Dakota. I'll admit that. But who wants to bet if we were to do a deep dive, we would find all kinds of fun things that are not working as well as that motherfucker just said in North Dakota. Who wants to bet? Welcome back, Golden Ratio.
Getting bigger. 1/5 of all new jobs this year have been created by the government.
What is he talking about? Running fucking
you want to shrink the
what?
size of government. But it has been a century since any president has done that. Why would you be any different?
Well, because we've done it in North Dakota. When I took office, we shrunk the state budget general fund by 27% in the first 4 months I was office, and all the trains still running on time. Why? Because you had a business leader that was actually there. Inside of every government job, there's 10 or 20% of mind-numbing, soul-sucking work that even the state and federal employees don't want to do, and you can engineer that work out of the job. That would free up right there 20%.
You just don't do it, huh? It's all meaningless, huh? It's all Who wants to bet if we did a deep dive on this little experiment he's bragging about, we would find out that it's a complete fucking disaster? Who wants to bet?
Million civilian employees.
Sounds like Argentina over there,
jobs
actually.
Open. They'd have plenty to do, and they could be generating taxes instead of being paid by taxes. This is totally possible to do it if you have somebody that understands, because having worked in technology for 30 years, everything we had to do was to be better, faster, and cheaper the next day. That's what we can do in government. That's what we're doing in North Dakota.
All right. Governor DeSantis.
Do you think he just calls his constituents customers at this point? You think just my customers are really respect my leadership as the CEO of our state?
I want to ask you about something that
Nothing
I think is on
wrong
a lot
with
of
any of this, by the way.
minds. This election could come down to less than 50,000 votes in 3 states. Abortion was on the ballot in 6 states in 2022. Republicans lost all of them.
That doesn't surprise me, DC.
Next year, abortion will likely be on the ballot.
Yeah, so this is, look at Ron DeSantis' face. No, that's not true. No, it's 100% true. Abortion is a big fat L for Republicans right now.
States. Abortion was on the ballot in 6 states in 2022. Republicans lost all of them. Next year, abortion will
that's not true. No.
likely be on the ballot in Arizona. That is a must-win state. Governor DeSantis, how are you going to win over independent, pro-choice voters in Arizona?
Same way we did in Florida. We won the greatest Republican victory in a governor's race in the history of the state, over 1.5 million votes. We were winning places like Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach, that nobody thought was possible because we were leading with purpose and conviction. I reject this idea that pro-lifers are to blame for midterm defeats. I think there's other reasons for that. The former president, he's missing in action tonight. He's had a lot to say about that. He should be here explaining his comments to try to say that pro-life protections are somehow a terrible thing. I want him to look into the eyes and tell people who've been fighting this.
You look into the eyes of a raped 14-year-old having the baby of her father and tell her that she needs to have it for God. Freedom. I love freedom. Did I mention that?
For a long time. My wife and I earlier today were at the gravesite of President and Mrs. Reagan, and I noticed her stand extremism supporting abortion all the way up until the moment of birth. That is infanticide, and that is wrong.
Governor Christie.
Yeah.
Governor Christie.
I don't know that there's a single person left who would actually claim that infanticide is something that actually
Republicans
happens.
can do that in Arizona if this referendum is on the ballot there.
Yeah, because I did it in New Jersey, Dana. You know,
Then why are all these other states losing?
Well, because they don't have leaders in those states who are leading the fight the way it should be led. And the fact is, look, I was a governor here of the only blue state that's represented up here. This is where the fight is really tough for Republicans. And those are the states that we're going to have to try to win if we're going to win the White House back. And what we did was 14 times, Dana, in 8 years, I vetoed Planned Parenthood funding. 14 times. No one else gets it that much. The Democrats just kept sending it to me, and I kept saying no because I believe in life, but I also believe in states' rights. And I think we fought hard against Roe versus Wade for decades to say that states should make these decisions. So we're going to have those fights in the states. But what you need is a leader who can talk to people and make them understand that if you're pro-life...
This almost sounds like a reasonable fucking response. Of course, it's atrocious, but, you know, because immediately the Republicans who were like, oh, it's states' rights, immediately once Roe v. Wade was gone, it was national ban right away. And so Christie is over here saying, well, yeah, didn't we want states' rights? But no, the extremists, of course.
You have to be pro-life for the entire life, not just the 9 months in the womb. And we talked a lot about fentanyl tonight, and we haven't spoken one moment about treatment. But we need to make sure that for the drug-addicted 16-year-old on the floor of the county lockup, her life is precious too. And we need to be providing treatment to cure this as a disease that it is. If you're pro-life, you got to be pro-life for the entire life. We start talking like that, they're going to do what I did in the blue state.
So how are you going to do that and also cut everything down to the bone, but also provide the services to help these people, Chris? How are you going to do both, bud?
which was get reelected with 61% of the vote and won 70% of independents and 51% of Latinos because I told them
underage
the truth
rape
from my
victims.
heart.
Thank you.
Christie left New Jersey in utter ruin for the Republican Party, and there is 2 statewide Republicans in office right now.
Doesn't care about or is being hostile
Great
toward
point.
them, the Hispanic community. Only Governor DeSantis has translated his campaign into Spanish. How will you
He's atrocious.
reach out to
Fuck
Latino
him.
voters?
Well, I promise you that we're going to continue to build bridges to every community in this country. And I'm incredibly proud of it.
This fucking party's talking about putting tanks on the border and attacking drug-dealing fentanyl dealers. We're going to do everything we can to help people.
That tax cut and tax reform bill, I
For
worked
Biden,
on
yeah, he
Capitol
would be
Hill
gold
to help
ratio.
get that
Chris
bill
Christie,
passed
yeah.
into law, the largest tax cut in American history. We saw
For
literally
who?
the lowest unemployment ever
My
recorded
taxes
for
didn't go down,
Hispanic
bitch.
Americans. The lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans. 50-year low for women. So I think the President of the United States needs to be a champion for the American dream for every American. It begins with
He also planned a coup to destroy America, but whatever.
Unborn and the aged and the infirm. And it begins with every ethnic group in this country. And I promise you, if I'm President of the United States, I'll be a champion. I'll be a champion for the American dream, for Hispanic Americans and for every American. So help me God.
Senator Scott, reaction?
Yes, there's no doubt that if you lead by example, it's the best way to get the job done. If you look at my office in the Senate, my chief of staff is the only Hispanic female chief of staff in the Senate. I hired her because she was the best, highest qualified person we have. What we need are leaders who lead by example. And I will simply say, I would love to finish my conversation with Nikki as it relates to the job that needs to get done. Nikki offered a 10-cent gas tax increase in South Carolina. Talk about someone who has never seen a federal dollar she doesn't like. 10 cents on the gallon in South Carolina. As the UN ambassador, you literally put $50,000 on curtains in a $15 million subsidized location. Next.
You got bad information. First of all, I fought the gas tax in South Carolina multiple times against the establishment.
Just go to YouTube.
Against the establishment.
Just go to
and
YouTube
you want to know what that 10 cent
Yep.
was? When they wouldn't pass the gas tax, the establishment and the companies wanted me to do it so much that I said the only way I will
Here's
pass
what you
it
have to
if
do.
you will
All you
give
have
us
to do.
three.
All you have
Bro, you got to let her respond, dickhead.
to do is go
If you will
watch
give-
Nikki Haley on YouTube.
If you will give me 3 times the deduction in income tax, then I will look at your gas
So you
tax,
said
which
yes,
is why it didn't
you would
happen.
pass.
Secondly,
Exactly, Ron.
secondly, on the 50 million.
Here is a nice part.
Secondly, on the curtains, do your
Yes.
homework, Tim, because Obama bought those curtains.
Did you
and
send them back?
It's in the press.
Did you send them back?
It's the State Department.
Did you send them back?
you send them back? You're the one that works in Congress.
Oh my
Wow, we're straight up talking about motherfucking curtains right now, right?
You get it
You
done.
hung them on your curtains.
They were there before I even showed up at the residence. You are scrapping. You are scrapping.
I'm not scrapping.
You know I fought
Here's a fact.
taxes.
Here's a fact, though.
I cut taxes. I loaded up our
You
cars.
wanted a gas tax increase, and then you
Are we talking about curtains?
A commercial break. We'll have more of the second Republican debate live.
Okay, and we're just going to be able to skip all this because of all my pausing. So we're just going to blot the yatti. It's up at scoop it up do it. Where's the Russell Brand advertisements, by the way? Oh, no more Russell Brand. I wonder what happened. Nice guy, that Russell Brand. I haven't really, been following any Russell Brand news
Welcome
lately,
back.
but
It's now obvious
good
that
guy,
if
that Russell
you
Brand,
all
huh?
stay in the race, former President Donald Trump wins the nomination.
Whoa, said the T word.
None of you have indicated that you're dropping out. So, which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island? Please use your marker to write your choice on the notepad in front of you. 15 seconds, starting now. Of the people on the stage, who should be voted? I'm absolutely serious.
With all due respect, I mean, we're here. We're happy to debate. I think that that's disrespectful to my fellow competitors.
Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to
Come
participate.
on.
That's hilarious.
Oh, come on.
Let me ask you this.
If I may,
Let me ask you something. Then if you won't answer that question, let me ask you this one.
Yeah.
What is your mathematical path,
Yes.
Governor DeSantis, in order to try to beat President Trump, who has a commanding and enduring lead in this race?
So polls don't elect presidents. Voters elect presidents. Right. And we're going to take the case of the people in these early states. We're going to do it in a state-by-state direction. And why? Because as Reagan said in his day, this is our time for choosing. We are not getting a mulligan on the 2024 election. Republicans have lost 3 straight elections in a row. We were supposed to have a red wave with inflation at 9%. It crashed and burned. Not in Florida, it didn't. We delivered it in Florida. And so we've got to choose right. We've got to win. And we need somebody that's going to be able to serve 2 terms. So in January of 2023, they'll be able to address the nation saying, we turned the economy around, we secured the border, and we fended off the threat from communist China. As your president, I will get that job done.
Governor Christie, I believe I did see you write something. Governor Christie, I believe, excuse me, Governor Christie, I believe I did see you write something on the card. Who was it?
No, but I'll certainly tell you.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I think I've been.
Come on, it's the guy on the left, homie. It's the guy talking about voting software. Come on, man. Who we talking about?
No one on the stage has been clear about this. I vote Donald Trump off the island right now. And the reason I vote him off the island,
any of the people on the stage.
No, because you know what? Every person on this stage has shown the respect for Republican voters to come here to express their views honestly, candidly, and directly. And to take
Vivek over here. I love Trump. I think Trump's great. Trump. If you're going to vote for Trump, you should vote for me too, because I love Trump.
Your questions, honestly. I have respect for every man and woman on this stage because they've done it. Vivek, put your hand down for a second, would you? I still got time, dude. So chill out. Here, look. This guy has not only divided our party, he's divided families all over this country. He's divided friends all over this country. I've spoken to people, and I know everyone else has, who have sat at Thanksgiving dinner or at a birthday party and can't have a conversation anymore if they disagree with Donald Trump. He needs to be voted off the island, and he needs to be taken out of this process.
Chris Christie would be perfectly happy if all of the sycophants and everything went right to him and did all the stuff that they're doing to Trump, but for Chris Christie. Who are we kidding? And that's the same with every one of the shills on fucking stage. They're only mad that they're not Trump. That's the only difference here.
Can we get Vivek 15 seconds?
All right, you got 15 seconds, Vivek.
Look, I have a different view on this. I think Trump was an excellent president, but the America First agenda does not belong to one man. It does not belong to Donald Trump. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you, the people of this country. And the question is, who's going to unite this country and take the America First agenda to the next level? When we rallied behind the cry to make America great again, we did not just hunger for a single man. We hungered for the unapologetic pursuit of excellence. So yes, I will respect Donald Trump and his legacy because it's the right thing to do. But we will unite this country to take the America First agenda to the next level, and that will take a different generation.
The host just absolutely exhausted.
That does it. I repeat, that does it.
That's it?
For the second Republican primary debate, live from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library.
Thank you to all the candidates. We've loved having you here tonight, and we will see you out on the...
That sucked so much, but that's it. I probably shouldn't show that. That's it? We're done? All right, let's get some commentary.
Watching, and I'm personally insulted that we didn't get to see that. But, you know, I guess for a party that is too afraid to push back against Donald Trump, the guy who's beating all of them, it shouldn't surprise me that they're also too afraid to take any stand and attack anybody else on the stage.
That was it. That was it. Talking about Trump, that was it.
Whom should be vying to push each other out of the way? I mean, the only people standing in the way of any of those people winning are each other. Nobody wants to attack Donald Trump except Chris Christie, and maybe for the first time ever, to some tiny degree, Ron DeSantis, and also nobody wants to attack any of the other people. I mean,
they're all cowards.
These
totally.
People's inability to actually want to win a competition is especially striking.
Yeah.
I do have a poll up in my chat for those who are currently want to have their voice heard. Let me know who won this debate. The chat poll is going right now. We're
Yeah,
coming
guys,
up
that's a
on
good idea.
15,000 votes.
Who won the debate? Anybody listening in the chat? Anybody participating here, watching? Who won the debate?
I left off Mike Pence, Tim Scott, and Doug Burgum because I just don't think that they were able to.
Nobody. They're
pull
all
it out. But,
on it.
if you want to let your voice be heard on who you believe won this debate, definitely make sure to vote in the poll.
All right, so who won? Let's see your final poll. Who won the debate? Who should I click? Okay, who do I say?
Appreciated my stream tonight.
Okay, so this isn't my personal opinion. This is who I think. This is who I think the public are going to pick. I think the public. God, this is a tough one. I know they all kind of suck. I think they're going to say Nikki Haley. I think Nikki Haley. Okay, wow, interesting. 37. So okay, so you're. It's kind of hard to see here. Let's see if I can bring it up. But the poll for this fella here. Okay, bro, come on, the goddamn YouTube. So Ron DeSantis at 15, Vivek Ramaswamy at 23, Nikki Haley at 37, and Chris Christie at 25. Let's see what Fox has to say here.
Jason Chaffetz, give me your winners tonight.
Yeah, perfect.
And give me those you think are gonna be hurt by their performances tonight.
I thought Governor DeSantis had the strongest overall presentation. I think his thematic, and he was in a lot of his sweet spot. Sadly, I think Vice President Pence, not that he had ground to give, I just don't think he moves at all. I think he moves backwards. I think if I had to pick the biggest person who probably did the worst for herself would be Nikki Haley. I think she picked some fights. You pick a fight with Tim Scott. You appointed Tim Scott to be the senator from South Carolina. To get in a scrum with him is not going to grow your base. I thought Vivek Ramaswamy came off more like a
It kind of worked really fucking well for Trump. Like to point that out.
Politician that I've ever seen him. And when you're talking about the Federal Reserve and some other things, I just don't think that's accretive. I don't think you're actually going to gain ground in that area. And again, I don't think Governor Christie or Governor Burgum, I don't think they move at all because nobody sees them as being viable enough to actually achieve what they want to achieve.
He thinks people are gonna burn on Nikki because she appointed Tim Scott to something or other or whatever the fuck. No one cares about that shit.
The Republican side at this point. Rachel, your winners and losers.
All right, so DeSantis, I think, came out on top, and I think Nikki had a strong
that was about
second.
it, Gamer
I think
Jam.
Burgum deserves a second look. Everyone else could go away, and we could actually have a substitute.
Yeah. You basically nailed it, Mr. Gamer.
Jason said he didn't like the scrappiness that Nikki Haley showed. I kind of have an informal poll with people that I've been texting back and forth with, and it's very interesting. It divides right along gender lines. All the women thought the scrappiness made her stand out and liked it.
I thought Nikki Haley was great.
I don't like anything about Nikki Haley's foreign policy, but I like the fight.
I mean, she's atrocious. She's an atrocious fascist. But I think in terms of the person that sounded the most sensible to the mainstream, and we're talking about centrists that lean right, the independents that are basically right wing, but they got a gay brother or something, right? So they, all that shit. So I think for the mainstream, I think Nikki Haley did the best.
Anywhere, and Jason's right. Substantively, maybe the best tonight. I really appreciate someone that directly answers a question from a moderator. I think Ron DeSantis won. I think that it was exactly what we expected from him in the first debate. That little moment at the end,
buddy.
Write someone off the island.
You got it.
No way I would do that. And he immediately stood up and said no, which I think was an element of leadership. And the others followed as well. I don't know.
I mean, Trump is number one, and Trump fucking destroys his enemies. So no, reaching across the aisle and, I'm just not going to engage in this debate is not going to get you fucking Republican voters, actually, Slick.
They would have done it otherwise. But I think that this was a really good night for Ron DeSantis. I do not think it was a good night for Tim Scott. And I don't think it's about gender, at least for me. I do not think it was a good night for Nikki Haley. And I think for the same reason for both of them.
Right. Dude, you're walking away from that thinking Ron DeSantis is the winner. I mean, you're biased. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? He was a nothing burger. Ron DeSantis was a whiner, like interjecting with his little talking points and not really making any kind of strong point, saying that the Florida economy is
Rachel, I kind of had my wife
I mean,
talking about it, the same informal poll. She's like, I think females I'm listening to right now are responding very positively.
Yeah, I
it's
think
going
Nikki
to fall
Haley did it.
along gender lines a little bit. That's really, really interesting. I agree, guys. I think that DeSantis was very steady throughout. He finished very strongly with the big fights, big wins soundbite, which I think they'll keep playing because you said it, Rachel. You're right. It's objectively true. Like, he has done that in Florida, and that's a good thing. And then saying, "Hey, I'm not going to participate in the who to vote off the island." But I do think also it was a debate where he decided to kind of join with Chris Christie in taking jabs at Trump. And so the question is, maybe that helps him consolidate more of the anti-Trump element of the party
hold on.
temporarily increases his percentage.
Give us some polls. Don't these assholes do polls? Isn't this a multi-million-dollar news agency? Who won the Republican debate? Let's see if Google can tell us. Does anyone second Republican debate's biggest highlights? Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Do we got any polls? You got any public opinion?
I like what Christie said too, right? I mean, he was like,
Who came out on top of the Republican debate?
and I was like, okay, that's a lot.
Well, this is
But
the last one.
was, just the
Live updates. Haley Scott Spar.
Put your hand down, Vivek. We're finish my statement, and then you
Nope, not gonna do it.
Over eagerness that you saw. I think that might.
All right.
It might not wear.
They don't
well.
have any
And I think,
polling.
I don't know if Jason, it was you who said it or not, but it was a political performance from Vivek. Clearly, they got the feedback that some of what he said wasn't well liked, and so he's out there saying, "Okay, I'm a little overeager, and I'm a little ambitious, and I talk a little fast," and it's like that clearly been coached into him. But
I mean, he's also incredibly naive, and he, like, the fact that he's like, he's not letting go of this strategy of giving Russia everything it wants so that it will somehow sever the relationship with China. Bizarre. He needs to let it go.
In the Hang Mike Pence party, you're welcome to disagree with me if you want to.
Justin Raylan. Oh, geez, Rick. Oh, geez. I really shouldn't have sexually assaulted those women, Rick. Kind of ruined my career, Rick. Oh, geez.
The lead. So that's where we're at right now. Again, it's worth noting that Donald Trump did not show up to this
Is there
debate.
another dimension where I didn't sexually assault those women?
To try and attack Donald Trump this time. Didn't really put much effort into it. I think this is very much looked like the JV squad, the B team, just kind of scrapping among themselves. I mentioned this
agree.
before, but
I agree with that.
even if you added all of the support among all of these people together, you still wouldn't reach the polling averages that Donald Trump is.
Moneymaker. That's a good point.
Boasting right now. So I really don't know, if it's even really worth it to get into the minutia of what these candidates have said tonight, because at the end of the day,
I agree,
matter.
DCH.
They were so deep in policy at one point at the end where there was that Tim Scott, Nikki Haley argument. But at the end of the day, I think it's really all for nothing because, again, even if one person consolidated all of the support, it doesn't seem like anybody's doing anything to actually take down Donald Trump. They should have spent this entire debate doing that. But half the people.
It was like last 5 seconds. What about this Trump guy? Has anyone heard about him? What do you think about Trump?
People on that stage are too afraid to do so because they're trying to gain support from his own base or set themselves up for some type of victory in 2028. The other half did it, but didn't spend much time doing it at all. I mean, you have Chris Christie and Nikki Haley to some degree, and I mean, it really wasn't about Donald Trump, and he's the only thing standing in front of them and winning the Republican nomination. So I don't see how they are making any serious effort to take him down. So with that said, I will leave it there. Again, one last request: if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, and you appreciate me live streaming this debate, and you want to watch
DCH. So you're technically correct. But I think you might want to look into it because the receipts have been released, screenshots of text messages and stuff like that. You might want to dig into it here because he has been technically cleared of all charges because of a lack of evidence, looks like. But that is interesting though, and he has been cleared of all charges. Let's not forget, so was Michael Jackson, okay? And the police report clearly shows child pornography, that he had child pornography in his possession, like fucking nudie pictures of, like underwear pictures of the kid that he kept around him after Macaulay Culkin for a while. But, there is something to be said about Justin Roiland here, about, innocent until proven guilty and all that. But God, I thought for sure there was texts, something recently. Maybe I'm tripping. Oh, here we go. All the Justin Roiland DMs I could find. Oh yeah, you are awesome. I want to hang again. Hell yeah, I'm glad you want to hang. I mean, whatever. It's Justin Roiland. Fun. Like to have a lot of issues with sex, but fuck yeah, I hope you should go to a sex therapist now while you're young. Put that stuff out. Are you gonna come alone? What the fuck is ginger beer? It's a good mixer. You're not gonna try to rape me, are you? I think so, question mark. My friend will probably have classes or work Thursday. But if you try anything, I will ruin your career. Wow, this shit is... This is rough. Well, if he is innocent, if he has been acquitted... Also just pointing out that he... yeah, that's interesting. Wait, isn't that the dude Justin Freakin on Twitch? I don't know. All right, well, you know what, DCH, I do appreciate that, because I will, I had to make my Trump stance very clear, because I was calling Trump a racist. I was calling it not racist, but a rapist, and he was just a sexual assaulter. He's not a rapist technically. He's guilty of sexual assault, but not rape. All right, folks. Well, I mean, that's my opinion. There you go. That's the debate. My opinion on the debate is that Nikki Haley won, but I do agree with the sentiment that this was all kind of pointless, because it really should have been, if the Republican Party really does want to shed Trump, they should try, but they don't want. They're cowards. They're inherently cowards. They can't get rid of Trump. They don't want it. They would like to get rid of Trump and they would like to keep all, because they don't want to lose Trump's fan base. They understand that when Trump is out of the picture, that a good chunk of these, at least 1/3, maybe even more of these people, these MAGA freaks, these ultra MAGA types, are never coming back. It's going to be a massive problem for the Republican Party. They need to find a way to, keep them on board, but they don't like what Trump means for the institution, because like if the Trump way wins, if the way of the Trump wins, then it's you have to like pay fealty to Trump, in the Republican Party. And it's not like it was always like that. It's like, yeah, you'd have to pay fealty to Mitch McConnell, but you wouldn't have to like deliberately like, suck up to him and be like, oh, I love Diet Coke and hamburgers and all this stuff. You wouldn't have to go to that level, but that was the level. That's the kind of loyalty that Trump wants. He wants full fealty. He wants a complete sycophant. And if you're not there, you're fucking gone, son. And they don't, they don't want that. But they only want that if they get to be that guy, right? So they would prefer to just have what they had before, the status quo. And we're seeing, of course, with the neoliberals, this desire to keep this old status quo. We're in uncharted territory, folks. Don't forget, if you want to change this, it's a simple 3-step program. Step 1, inform yourself, and suffering through this shit is a good way to do it. Step 2, join a progressive political organization in your area. Put your name down. Sign up. Maybe it's a union. Maybe it's maybe you're running for office. But for the love of God, do something. Don't be scared. Step 3, you got to put in the work. Because for every one of you, there's 2 fucking Nick Fuenteses out there. They're winning. Look at the polls. Biden and Trump, neck and neck. 4 times indicted, 91 charges. His entire business empire being dissolved in New York. They don't care. It's all fake news. They're not stopping until they've installed their dictator. We need to do something about it.
And that's the only way to do it is to follow the three-step program. If you want to check the Discord, !Discord here in the chat, Woke Patriot posted some great evidence that unions work. We got SAG-AFTRA over here. SAG-AFTRA with the big win. You know, the writer's strike. Big win for the writer's strike. That shit works. Unionizing works. Striking works. Leveraging your labor works. It's not communist to leverage your labor. In fact, it's extremely capitalist. You're selling your labor. You want to sell it for a fair price. That's how that shit works. It's extremely, unionization is extremely capitalist. You know, companies have no problem colluding with each other to get what they want. All of a sudden, we can't. Grocery stores in fucking Canada over here, making sure everyone's getting ripped off. They're all, you know, there was a big fucking scandal in Canada about bread prices being fixed. It was a motherfucking bread mafia. But anyway, folks, peace in that motherfucking Middle East. Glory to the Ukrainian democracy. Motherfuck these fascists for life. We got to do everything we can to stop them. Yeah, the Nikki Haley. Yeah, Nikki Haley. Look, because the thing is that, yeah, maybe some of those folks up there don't like Trump and they want to get rid of Trump. They don't want to get rid of the policies of the Republican Party. They don't want to get rid of the goals of the Republican Party. And if you look at the goals of this institution, it is anti-democratic, tyrannical, anti-freedom. They'll gaslight you up and down. What do you mean? We're the party of freedom. We're the party of free speech. We're the party of patriotism. They are the exact opposite of all those things. An objective look at this party would tell you that. I'm telling you. I got nothing to sell you. Check out the merch store. I got nothing to sell you, though. Other than the reality of the situation. That's what I'm here for. My name is Abandoned Nihilism. I am the harbinger of things to come. Thank you to everyone that stuck around. DCH is going to get our Garbage Fuel Award of the day. We're keeping that chat active throughout. He's following step one. DCH is following step one. Homeless Bag is also going to get that Garbage Fuel Award. Congratulations, Homeless Bag and Dirty Crackhead, for following step one. Enjoy your Garbage Fuel Awards. And you know, give your mother a call. I mean, I feel dirty after this, man. I gotta give my mom a call, give my wife a kiss, and give my baby a hug. Makes me feel gross. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself. News Underground.